Love Nebraska Insider today.
Hi, everybody. Charlie Stone back again with Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, there are so many great things to talk about right now. Let's start with new and pre-owned vehicles.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, we're all excited those days of inventory shortages are behind us. Right now, we have more than 400 new Hondas to choose from and over 125 pre-owned with just about any make or model in stock.
I know certified pre-owned Hondas are a very important part of your dealership. Tell us about certified, Andy.
We always have a great selection of certified pre-owned Hondas in stock in like new condition, and they also come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
How about service?
You know, our amazing service department not only services Hondas, but we service just about any make, and we are one of the largest tire dealers in the state. Look us up the next time you need tires on your car.
Experience the best at the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
When your home fills up with family, Allo Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Allo Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Comfort food, but make it vegan. At Rutabagas, they're serving all your crave-worthy classics. Mac and cheese, loaded nachos, Philly cheesesteaks, all 100% plant-powered and 100% delicious. Catch them at their cozy spot at 70th and Vine, or find their food truck rolling through the streets of Lincoln. So whether you're vegan, veg-curious, or just hungry for comfort food with a twist, Rutabagas has a plate waiting for you. Find them on Instagram for their food truck location and specials. Rutabagas, where comfort meets compassion.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
Are you ready to transform your body and your life in just 10 weeks? At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, our kickboxing challenge combines heart-pumping cardio, strength training, and proven nutrition coaching to deliver real results. Lose fat, gain strength, and feel more confident than ever. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Join the Next Barrels 10-week challenge starting October 11th and take the first swing towards a healthier, stronger you. Barrels Extreme Body Shaping, results, not excuses. Join today, fxblincoln.com. That's fxblincoln.com.
With your weekly high school sports update, I'm Nick Sainert. Capital City Schools had a respectable showing last Friday, with Lincoln High beating South Sioux City 26-21. Lincoln Northeast stayed undefeated and improved to 4-0 with a 35-27 win against North Platte. Lincoln North Star blew out Omaha South 57-8, and in an inner-city matchup, Lincoln East shut out Lincoln Southwest 20-0. We now turn our attention to Week 5 action this Thursday and Friday night, with Lincoln Southeast traveling to number 1 Millard South. Lincoln Northeast hosts number 6 Omaha North, and number 4 Kearney versus number 10 Lincoln East this Friday night. This has been your weekly high school update on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Good afternoon, beautiful people, and welcome into another edition of Old School, live here and here only, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Austin Norman with you. Jay Foreman will be along later, handling some business. He'll call in. We'll talk some college football weekend, some NFL weekend, and plenty more. Can't wait to be joined by the Husker Hall of Famer here in just a little while. But for now, it's you, it's me, and we'd love to have your input on the show. 402-464-5685. Be a part of the conversation or spark a conversation on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line or our Honda of Lincoln hotline, taking your texts, your calls, all the way into the start of your weekend. Looking forward to it. Should be a fun show as always. We'll lead off with a Nebraska high school football, really athletics, but focused on football now during football season discussion. Raph and I got into it just a little bit earlier today on the drive, but there's a really interesting article from the Flatwater Free Press detailing just how common, how prevalent transferring is in high school football across the state of Nebraska. What has that done to the state? I'll give you some of my opinions, ask some of the questions, and just work through some of the mental gymnastics. John in Cortland, I appreciate that sentiment, sir. Have a fantastic weekend yourself. Thomas and Lincoln, appreciate you. We'll get to you here in just a minute. That's a great way to lead off our show. After we get done talking some high school football as well, the Big Ten seems to be scamming Venmo and Discover out of some money, not in an actual scam sort of way, but in a kind of just roll your eyes, raise your eyebrows sort of thing. So I'll tell you more about that in both the college football and the college volleyball fronts. 8 years ago today, 10 people were arrested by the FBI in the college basketball kind of, not really money laundering, but, the pay-for-play scheme in college athletics. So lots to get to there on that front. Like I said, 402-464-5685. Want to have a conversation with you. Just got confirmation from Jay. He should be along at some point between 4:30 and 5. All right, Thomas and Lincoln, what do you think the game of the weekend will be in college football, and why? All right, let's just go ahead and pull up ye handy dandy college football schedule. So I think the contenders in the Big Ten are pretty clear. You think about USC at Illinois, that's going to be a really fun game. Styles make fights. Big moment for USC coming off a home win over Michigan State, and maybe an even bigger moment. It made an early defining moment in the tenure of Brett Bielema for Illinois. They get a home game against USC coming off the 53-point dismantling, and I mean dismantling, at the hands of the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana said, we're going to score some more and some more and some more, and conveniently, more is the word for our Cash Blitz keyword right now. Text MORE, MORE, to 508-777-1000, or head to the 93.7 The Ticket website and click on Cash Blitz to enter. Today's keyword is MORE, MORE. Remember, every keyword you enter is yet another chance to win. One lucky listener will take home $1,000 tomorrow around noon. Don't wait. Text keyword MORE to 508-777-1000. So there's an early vote for USC Illinois. I think that's going to be a fun one, but that can't take the cake. Ohio State Washington, I could see going each of three different directions. Ohio State big, Ohio State close, or Washington close. I don't think Washington wins this one big if the Huskies are to pull the upset. The line has jumped by a couple points in favor of the Buckeyes. They were 7.5-point favorites yesterday, up to 9.5-point favorites here today. Maybe the game of the night in college football will end up being Oregon and Penn State. Of course, a rematch from last year's Big Ten championship game. You get to see, is Dante Moore the best quarterback in the Big Ten? He certainly made his case so far. I think this is a defining game for Penn State, right? You get a top 10 opponent at home in what everyone said going into the year was your year. Feels like a year you've been building to for a while. You get over the hump, you make the 12-team college football playoff. Last year, after not qualifying for the 4-team playoff, you make it to the semis, and then you just get beat by Notre Dame. Pretty good game, back and forth game, but you just weren't able to move the ball through the air. Notre Dame held you down a little bit in the run game, and Drew Aller makes a little bit of a mistake late with the interception to ice it for the Irish. It's a big moment for Penn State. The same questions we have about Matt Rule. Can he win the big one? Can he beat a team in the top 25? Penn State and James Franklin are looking for the answer to that question when it comes to teams in the top 5 or the top 10. So here's a whiteout, 6:30 kick, national TV on NBC. Fantastic opportunity for Penn State to say, you know what? It is our year. People like Austin Norman who keep yapping, we haven't been underwhelming. We've been building. Not saving anything, but we wanted to make our first peak of the season happen against Oregon. The Nittany Lions have a wonderful chance to do that coming up on Saturday. But I think what we're seeing is that Oregon is maybe more portable than they've been in years past. It's not just offense or bust. The Ducks can play a little defense. Bryce Betcher, good player. Tatum Tuioti, good. Mateo Uiagalelei, very good player. It's not just speed, flash, sizzle from Oregon. There's some meat on the bone. There's some muscle. There's some hustle in the Ducks as well. And I think that a game like this would be another way for Oregon to validate that, we still want to be the cool, hip program that's getting the eyeballs with all the different uniform combinations. But a big question for Oregon coming into the year was, how would they rebuild? How would they reload? However it is you want to look at it. Oregon lost a lot of talent. Some to the transfer portal, some to the NFL draft. There were some legitimate questions about the Ducks coming into the year, going on the road, winning in the whiteout game over Penn State. It's been done before, but it hasn't been done by Oregon. These two teams just haven't played each other that much. It's still a new matchup in the new look Big Ten Conference. I think this would be a big validating moment for Oregon, for Dan Lanning and the entire program to be able to say, what we're doing works. We're grown up as a program where we're not flying cross country and getting beat up by a Big Ten team. They're punching us. We're punching back. We can play in a physical game. I think those are probably the three contenders out of the Big Ten. But if we look at just the entire schedule in the early window, Notre Dame, Arkansas is intriguing. Duke, Syracuse has some implications. Cincinnati, Kansas, UCF, Kansas State are both interesting, but not in the game of the weekend conversation. LSU, Ole Miss could go a bajillion different directions. No idea what to make of the Tigers and the Rebels. Same thing with Auburn, A&M. You feel pretty good about where A&M's at right now, but it's still Texas A&M. Indiana, Iowa is intriguing. And then there's a bit of a drought until you get to the late night slate, where you get Tennessee versus 4-0 Mississippi State. That's not nothing. Tennessee only touchdown 0.5 favorites in Stark Vegas. But I'd be lying if I said the game of the weekend wouldn't be Alabama at Georgia. Kirby Smart, that is, just 1-6 against Alabama as the head coach of the Bulldogs. But I don't believe any of those games have actually been played in Athens. Let me double check my work on that, but I believe I read that earlier in the week. Georgia, Alabama football series history. Enter. Send. So Alabama's won 9 of the last 10 against Georgia. And they lead the series overall 44-26-4. There have been some good games between the two. Georgia's made some comebacks. Alabama's made some comebacks. And it's been a really, really good season, or rivalry, I should say. But yeah, if you look at where these games between Georgia and Alabama have been played, last year in Tuscaloosa, year before that, it was in Atlanta for the SEC championship game, in Indianapolis in the college football playoffs when Georgia wins the national title in 2022, in Atlanta for the SEC title in 2021, in Tuscaloosa in 2020, 2018 in Atlanta, 2018, January of 2018 and December of 2018 in Atlanta. The last time that these two teams met up in Athens was 2015. So, do some math with me. Kirby Smart hadn't taken over yet. Kirby Smart has not faced Alabama at Sanford Stadium between the hedges. That's kind of wild to think about. He finally gets a crack at it. You feel like you trust Georgia a little bit more than Alabama at this point. Georgia, of course, being rated in the top 5, Alabama down at number 17 going into this matchup. Bama's still plenty good. Bama's still plenty talented. That's never going to end up being the issue for Alabama. I just feel like Georgia's maybe put it together a little bit more right now. So, can Kalen DeBoer get back in the good graces of Alabama fans by going on the road and pulling an upset? Or is it just as simple as, hey, maybe, the master had the student's number in Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart. Now that they get a game in Athens again, there's potential that, Georgia can finally get a win over Alabama in Athens. Now, of course, you can say, well, they played these games in Atlanta. That's in Georgia. It absolutely is. But it's not at Sanford Stadium. There's a big difference between playing at the home of the Falcons and playing at the home of the Bulldogs. Plain and simple. So I'm glad that we finally get this matchup going on in Athens, given that, again, the last time these two teams matched up in Sanford Stadium was in October of 2015. That's kind of crazy. That is far too long of a wait for these two programs to play at one another's home. Of course, it's not a series that was played every year. In fact, there's a gap here in between some of these games. I mean, Georgia and Alabama played in, let's just go back to in the 2000s. They didn't play in 2000 or 2001, played in 2002 and 2003, took 4 years off, didn't play again until 2007 and 2008, played a one-off game in the SEC championship in 2012. But in terms of regular season matchups, you had 2002 in Tuscaloosa, 2003 in Athens, 2007 in Tuscaloosa, 2008 in Athens. Then you went from 2008 to 2015 without getting a regular season matchup between those two teams. Then you go from 2015 to 2020 without a regular season matchup between these two teams. I mean, come on. That's crazy. To not get an Alabama-Georgia game with these two programs at or near the peak of their powers. I get it with the SEC divisions, why it happened, and I get it in terms of competitive balance. But in terms of big games that are big for the sport, important for the sport of college football, is it better that we get Alabama-Georgia in the SEC championship game? Or would it be better that it comes in the regular season? I find it odd that it's just been so scattershot getting these teams in the regular season just with how the SEC's conference scheduling model has gone. I do think ultimately, to answer my own question, probably best for the SEC that this matchup took place more often than not in the conference championship game. Because if you're the SEC, what you were able to pull off most of those years, is really what the ACC has never been able to pull off. What even the Big Ten was hardly ever able to pull off. And that's getting your two biggest brands, your two best teams in the title game as often as you can help it. Think about the Big Ten when it was East and West. Really, it was Ohio State, maybe Michigan? But then who did you want coming out of the side? Coming out of the side of the West Division? You would have liked to think the Big Ten wanted Nebraska. The TV numbers in there, of course, the fans traveling to the game numbers as well. You got Wisconsin, you got Iowa, you got Minnesota as a one-off, but you were never able to get Nebraska elevated to that number 2 team in the Big Ten. It felt like more often than not, the Big Ten championship was being decided by Ohio State, Michigan there for a couple years, or Ohio State, Penn State more aptly for a handful of years. You got that game every year because they were in the same division, but you got it in September or October or November instead of in, very late November or more often than not, very early December. Which is better for the league? It's probably better for the league that matchups like this happen in conference championship games in December instead of in the regular season. But we can't just all of a sudden go about devaluing the regular season just in an attempt to get these two biggest names, brands, best teams under the spotlight, right? So you think about Ohio State and Penn State essentially deciding the Big Ten championship in the regular season. You think about the fact that Clemson and Miami have had a really tough time crossing paths in the ACC championship game. Just hasn't really happened, right? I got to get my ACC Atlantic and Coastal Division history correct here. So don't mind me as I look this up just to make sure I have my teams in order. But when you look at the Atlantic and the Coastal that went away after 2022, so now you're in just the one mega conference. But the Coastal and the Atlantic have gone away. They've gone away, and you separated Clemson and Miami, your biggest current brand and your biggest probably historical brand, along with Florida State. But you separate them to try to give Clemson, the current brand, the path, and then you get Florida State, Miami duking it out for what you thought would be the other spot. It just didn't really work out that way at all. And because of that, the ACC obviously had to keep pace in terms of college expansion, and they went to the permanent matchup sort of model with the rivalries, the protected rivalries, just like the Big Ten did and just like the SEC did. And I'm really curious to see how that ends up playing out for the ACC. But they weren't able to do it. The Big Ten wasn't able to do it. The SEC was able to get away with these Alabama-Georgia matchups. And I'm really curious to see how Ty Simpson looks against that Georgia defense that's good. But does it have the same, fear factor that the Georgia defenses of just a couple of years ago had? I don't think so. I mean, shoot, look at Tennessee, the barn burner that those two teams played. Is Georgia's offense back on track? Did it finally find what it needed to find? Man, if you're a Georgia fan, you might have been looking back a couple of years and like, really? Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton can't lead the same caliber of offense that Stetson Bennett did? It's kind of funny to think about, but it's just been the fact of the matter. Is the Georgia offense back on track? Is the defense good? Is Ty Simpson going to be up for the challenge between the hedges against a certainly talented Georgia team? Can Ryan Williams emerge, be a playmaker, and do something crazy that excites Bama early in the game? We'll have to see. So I think that 6:30 viewing window is going to be very, very hotly contested between the Oregon-Penn State game and the Alabama-Georgia game. I think that's the perfect situation for you to just flip back and forth at commercial breaks, because we should be treated to a couple of fantastic, fantastic games tomorrow night at 6:30. We'll go to break here. When we get back, let's dig into some transfers in Nebraska high school athletics. What's going on behind the scenes? Is it good? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it fair? What is going on with high school athletes transferring, mostly in Nebraska, maybe a little bit across the country, but we'll keep it close to home, and we'll look at it kind of through the lens of Millard South. Is what Millard South is doing healthy for football in Nebraska high school ranks? We'll get to that and plenty more when we continue Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Comfort food, but make it vegan. At Rutabagas, they're serving all your crave-worthy classics. Mac and cheese, loaded nachos, Philly cheesesteaks, all 100% plant-powered and 100% delicious. Catch them at their cozy spot at 70th and Vine, or find their food truck rolling through the streets of Lincoln. So whether you're vegan, veg curious, or just hungry for comfort food with a twist, Rutabagas has a plate waiting for you. Find them on Instagram for their food truck location and specials. Rutabagas, where comfort meets compassion.
Ready to score big with your projects? Look no further than Edward Stone, the MVP of natural stone for over 2 decades. Edward Stone is cranking out over 30,000 square feet every week and offers a winning lineup of over 70 quality natural veneer stone selections. Their unbeatable variety and experienced team will ensure your project is a success, whether it's a home renovation or a commercial build. And hey, they're not just about stone. They've got an all-star lineup of fireplaces, cast stone, brick, and much more. Swing by one of their locations in Lincoln or Omaha today and experience the Edward Stone difference, your reliable choice for over 20 years.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We are going to see plenty of sunshine here for the rest of our Friday. We'll get all the way up to 85 for a high temperature with a little bit of a breeze here this afternoon. That breeze will die down if you're heading out to any high school football games tonight. We'll drop down to 60 for an overnight low. Weekend's looking great. We'll get up to 81 for a high on Saturday and 86 on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Donna for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. This month kicks off Koppel's 50th anniversary sale. We're celebrating 50 years by offering an additional $500 discount to the next 100 customers that buy a new vehicle. This is in addition to the huge savings already in place. You can take an extra $500 off our discounted price, or we can cut you a check on the spot. Celebrate with savings and see why customers have trusted Koppel since 1975. It's our way of saying thank you for all these years.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
This is Rick Heyman with Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Sartor Heyman is celebrating 120 years, and you could win big. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for your chance to win a $120 gift certificate every week. That's right. We're giving away $120 every week as a thank you for being part of our story. Don't miss your chance to treat yourself. Follow Sartor Heyman Jewelers today. Celebrating 120 years. Sartor Heyman, when only the best will do.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers. When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flat work, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevenson Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevenson Smith Construction slams expectations.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
This is your invite to Lincoln's Oktoberfest. On Saturday, September 27th, come to Beer House at 8th and P in the Haymarket from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. for a full day of German fun. Live bands, mouth-watering food, cold brews, and games for every age. Try your hand at Steinholding, Cornhole, or bring friends for Hammerschlagen. Admission is just $9 in advance, and VIP gives you tokens, a Stein, rooftop access, and more. Lincoln's Oktoberfest, where the beer is flowing, the food is sizzling, and the spirit is Bavarian strong. Be there.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Friday Night Lights back on tap tonight across the state. And that's what we're talking about here on Old School. Welcome back in. Austin Orman with you. Jay Foreman will be along in the next hour or so. Millard South did it again. The Patriots dominate Lincoln Southeast, and that's all they've done all year. They do have a loss on the year, except that that loss came by forfeit in a game that the scoreboard read 49-7 Millard South over Arbor from Las Vegas. Is it wrong what Millard South is doing? Are they doing it by the book? Are they breaking the spirit of the law, if not the letter of the law? There's a lot to get down to, and this isn't going to be just a Millard South segment because there's so much more to it than that. First and foremost, want to shout out the Flatwater Free Press for this article. Jeremy Turley was the one that wrote it. Published a week ago yesterday. So go to flatwaterfreepress.org and you will be able to find this article. The first thing that really catches your eye in this article is that over the last 3 years, according to Turley's research, nearly 1,500 high school athletes have switched schools without having to sit out. 1,500 athletes of high school age in Nebraska have transferred in the last 3 years. You talk about portal, you talk about vortex. That's kind of crazy. Okay, the next thing, one sentence later, one paragraph down. How about this? In 2004, the average margin in a Class A football game was 30-12. Scoring has pretty much continued to go up over the 20 years since then, and defenses have gotten better, or so we're led to believe. From 30-12 being the average margin of a Class A football game in 2004, now in 2024, the average score 43-10. Think about that. From an 18-point average margin of victory to a 33-point average margin of victory in Class A. That's pretty nuts, and that's a good indicator. Hey, something's going on. Why are the good teams getting better? Or why are the bad teams getting worse? Is it that the good teams are getting so much better? Is it that the bad teams are getting so much worse? There's a lot to break down. There's more than just one factor, but you definitely have to take into account the impact of transfers. Okay, you think about how the Class A brackets have shaken out over the last few years. You look at Millard South winning last year. Before that, Omaha Westside went back-to-back, blanking Elkhorn South in the final in 2023 and winning a tight game, the Tristan Alvano field goal against Gretna in 2022. And in fact, Westside gets brought up in this article as well. Westside specifically, in terms of its football, right? More than half of the players on Westside's roster, I believe this is last year, for the 24-25 school year, more than half of Westside's football roster transferred in. About 3/4 of their softball roster, the same, and about half of its volleyball roster. So option-based enrollment students, so just under half of football, right? So 33 out of 70 last year for the players on Westside's team. 33 of 70 transferred into the school district, except it wasn't just high school, right? Early on, Turley's reporting says that 26 of the 33 used the enrollment option to join the Westside School District between kindergarten and in ninth grade. So, okay, transfers fueling Westside potentially to consecutive Class A state championships. 2021, Gretna. Why did Gretna lose its championship? It got stripped. The title got vacated because of a misreported or unreported transfer rule. So that's 4 in a row, potentially. Ooh, excuse me as I sneeze. 4 in a row of schools that have gone to, or of titles that have gone to schools that you can say transfers had something to do with it. It's not everything, but it's definitely something. And that's just the good getting better. It's also about the worst getting worse, right? Think about what's happened to the Benson program that's gotten decimated. Burke was really good until Coach Lamongi moved to Westside, where he won those 2 titles, brought quite a few players with him from Burke. And it's really more of a philosophical question. Is it right or is it wrong for this? And I think there's just a lot of questions to sort through. So let's start with Ben on the Sartor Human Jewelers text line before we get to my thoughts. Yes, the crazy amount of transferring is not good for the sport in Nebraska. When you get teams that can constantly reload via transfers, it depresses participation throughout the state. Why bother going out for football if you know at best you're playing for second place? That last part is a little defeatist. I'm not going to lie. That last part doesn't necessarily sit right with me. I would not advise someone not to go out for football just because they might cross paths with Millard South at some time, or, Bellevue West back in the day, or Omaha West Side. I don't think that that's a good reason to not play football. But I can understand why. Oh, yeah, I mean, we haven't been good in so long. Why would I go out? We're just going to get our butts kicked. I can understand why the getting your butt kicked would lead to, depressed numbers of young men going out for football. Ben says he doesn't blame Millard South for not doing anything against the rules, but the rules should be changed. And Ben, I do not have the data on where exactly these players have transferred from. One example that comes to mind for me is Nelson Wheeler, who transfers in from Grand Island to Millard South. And he's an interesting case. Because you think about a guy like Nelson Wheeler, who was clearly a good player at Grand Island, one of the state's leading rushers out there for the Islanders. Why would he transfer from a place where he is the focal point to join a team where he's just another guy? Now, a big part of the team, certainly. But why would Nelson Wheeler transfer? Did his family move to Millard, get new jobs or something? No, don't believe so. Did he move there because the Grand Island School District is underperforming academically? That doesn't seem to have been reported, which leads you to believe that it's for athletics. Is that right or is that wrong? 1705 says the only difference is that private schools have been doing it forever. Need to regulate the private schools. Okay, that's an interesting sort of point. 1380, we'll get to you here in just a second. Okay, so let's take that example. Private schools versus public schools. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it fair? Is it unfair for Millard South, essentially right now, to be turning into that prep school? Is there a difference between transferring into Millard South from transferring into IMG, or from transferring into Prolific Prep, or from transferring into Sunrise Christian or La Lumiere or anything like that? What makes a prep school different than Millard South, or what makes Millard South different from a prep school? Is there anything making it different? Should they be treated as similar? Should, the prep school moniker or reputation only belong to those true prep schools? Or can a random public school, randomly become a prep school just because there's a good coach, right? And I'm just going to run down some of the questions that I have in order, because I don't have the answer. It is very much a philosophical sort of debate that the NSAA is, I know, working feverishly to parse through. So my first question, how necessary is transferring in high school? Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Obviously, if you move cities, you move towns, you move states, you got to transfer. I get it. But if you're living in, I don't know, Gretna and you want to go to Millard, or if you're living in Gretna and you want to go to Westside, or you're living in Papillion and you want to go to Bellevue, are we anti-school choice all of a sudden? Is it about the schools? Is it about the athletics, right? Do we really want to start policing transfers? Do we want the NSAA to turn into the NCAA and have every student athlete that wants to transfer in high school go in front of a committee, go in front of a jury to judge if their transfer is valid or not? Who judges whether a transfer is legitimate or not? Do we want to tell someone like, for example, Nelson Wheeler, he can't transfer from Grand Island to Millard South because he wants to get recruited better, right? And again, is it any different transferring to Millard South versus transferring to a more traditional prep school? Is there a difference? I don't know. Is it a problem that athletes want to transfer to a better school or to a better program? Everyone wants to join a winner. We see this across sports. High school transferring is not free agency. At least it shouldn't be. There better not be payments being made to high schoolers or their families to have their student athlete change school districts, in a pay for play sort of world, right? But I would like to live in a world where there's school choice. I like markets. I like saying, hey, if this school is underperforming academically or athletically, and I want to transfer, I should be free to do so. Are kids transferring for academics or athletics? I don't want to say, no, you can't transfer for athletics. That's a stupid, shallow reason. Because what if this young man or woman that's transferring for athletic reasons nominally, what if that's their only chance to go to college? A good college and get a good degree. And they transfer to school where they'll get some recruiting attention and they get the chance to be the first in their family to go to school. Do we want to be the judge of, oh, you're just transferring for athletics? No, I don't want to do that, because hypothetically, there's more to it than just the athletics, right? Championships go in waves. It really does. Schools, classes go through cycles. We see this especially, I think, Class B and below. Class A is just a little bit different with the enrollment sizes, but all this stuff goes in waves. I mean, Millard South is on its run right now. Westside had a couple years. Gretna had a couple years. West had a couple years. Burke, Omaha North, right, had a run there for a while. Omaha Central in basketball did. Millard North obviously had its run in the early 2010s. Lincoln Southeast had a run. Some of this stuff is cyclical, right? Some of the stuff you just got to wait out, and we shouldn't rush to make a decision about transfers just because one school's on a run and we don't like it. I don't think that's necessarily fair. Are parents and athletes getting too caught up in the moment of athletics? Have sports taken on too big of a priority? Here's the next part, are we losing the core of what it meant or what it could mean to be a high school student? Is the magic of growing up and going to the same elementary school and middle school as your buddies, getting to know them, playing sports together, and then parlaying that into high school, are we losing some of that magic due to club sports, due to AAU, what have you? Is the magic of playing with your neighborhood friends being replaced by the all-consuming need to win or get recruited? I can't blame parents or kids for wanting to get recruited, wanting to go play in college, getting a free education, going places that might not have been possible just a generation before. It's not up to these parents and these student athletes to look out for the other kids in their neighborhood. It's not about that. But is it really worth losing that fabric that makes these vibrant communities, that makes it so fun to see communities rally behind this group of young student athletes that have grown up together, that brings joy and lights up a community because they have athletic success for the first time in a long time, right? Is it even wrong to get caught up in recruiting and in going to the best school possible for your student athletes' best chances to get recruiting, right? What if going to college on an athletic scholarship is the only way a kid would be motivated to do well in school? and be the first in family to go to college, right? I don't want to get in the habit of policing transfers that seem like they're just for athletic reasons. Now, there's right and there's wrong. You know, if you're a kid that's living in Grand Island and someone from Millard says, hey, you're really good, we're just going to move you here, keep your family behind, and you can, live with a coach. Clearly, that's wrong. That can't be happening. That's essentially pay for play. That's stacked. That's not how it should be. But Jason says, should be, you just have to go to your district. I get it. I really get the thought. But if there's an underperforming academic district, and as a parent, you're like, hey, this isn't cutting it, right? My child's not getting the education they need, then I don't want you to be stuck in that district. I want you to be able to have the option to transfer out to a school that's going to be better for your child academically. But if the only reason you're transferring is for athletics, I don't like it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't. I understand the rationale for it 100%. Of course you want to be on a better team instead of a worse team. But I wish that there was more of that persistence, more of that determination to build a program and to grow it. And it's not easy. Sometimes it takes generations. Sometimes you got to put in that legwork, and it'll be a generation before that work really pays off. But I think it's better in the long run, right? The problem is it seems like the competition is being diminished. Jason follows up and says, if you're good enough to play Division I, your coach should be making phone calls around. Well, yeah, I get that. But think about if you're, say you're a coach at a class D1 or C2 school. Oh, Eric, I'm not the one hating freedom. I'm the one saying freedom of movement is great in theory. But back to Jason's point, sometimes these coaches have more on their plate, right? More than just, oh, I have a star athlete, I have to help him get recruited. Maybe don't know where to start to get a phone number. Maybe your school doesn't have that culture or that history of getting a lot of student athletes recruited to the Division I level, even the Division II, Division III, or NAIA levels. I know this for a fact, is that Lincoln Lutheran is doing a much better job now of helping its student athletes get recruited than it has in a long time. It's a culture thing. That's something that you have to change. And I'm sorry, if you're at a C2 or D1 school, yes, it is legitimately harder for you to get recruited, right? You can put up eye-popping numbers, but you're always going to have that tag of, oh, well, were they really playing against the best competition and just, running roughshod over, a bunch of kids that didn't have the right coaching or whatever. And these coaches, they're often teachers who have lesson plans and grading to do, often have families of their own. Maybe they're farmers that they're coaching volunteer wise, and they have other stuff that pop up. Maybe they're working, 8-9 hour days and then coaching and then family, right? I don't want to put it on just the coaches and the onus to get these young people recruited. Keep going here through the list. Mr. Mike D, there's a lot of transferring just within LPS. Students transfer to play with their club coach, etc. Yeah, and they get shepherded toward some of these programs. That's what happens. Is that right? Is that wrong? Right? Like, let's say that this club coach has been really good for the athletic and personal development of a young player. It's a mentor. There's a special relationship there. Who are we to tell the kid, no, you can't transfer out of your district to play for this person that means a lot to you? That doesn't strike me as the right thing to do if there's that special relationship. I don't like that at all. 1380. They've effectively killed public school football in inner city LA. When you look at the high stakes transferring in California and Florida, obviously those teams would smoke a lot of Nebraska teams, but also you can debate whether the level of talent at one school like Don Bosco or Mater Dei is good. 4491, private school recruitment is such an overblown issue, does not happen nearly as much as people think. I'm not on the inside anymore, but again, just from my experience at Lincoln Lutheran, I mean, it's just normal student body recruiting as far as I know, right? Sure, sometimes you get to pick and choose. Sometimes you are able to bring kids in. But in terms of the recruiting you think of, I agree. I think it's overblown. I do think it happens. Let's go ahead and go to break. We'll keep this conversation rolling. You guys have lots to get to on the text line. I promise you we're not getting to an answer. We're not getting to a satisfactory conclusion. But there's more from this Flatwater Free Press article And more from you guys on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line as we continue Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
This is your invite to Lincoln's Oktoberfest. On Saturday, September 27th, come to Beer House at 8th and P in the Haymarket from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. for a full day of German fun. Live bands, mouth-watering food, cold brews, and games for every age. Try your hand at Steinholding, Cornhole, or bring friends for Hammerschlagen. Admission is just $9 in advance, and VIP gives you tokens, a Stein, rooftop access, and more. Lincoln's Oktoberfest, where the beer is flowing, the food is sizzling, and the spirit is Bavarian strong. Be there.
When your home fills up with family, Aloe Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Aloe Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
M-Suits Clothiers, Lincoln's favorite men's store, is ready for homecoming season. There's no time to wait. Visit today to help your student find that perfect outfit for their homecoming. M-Suits has a selection of ties and bow ties to match any homecoming dress color you can think of. M-Suits Clothiers, 1 block south of 56th and Pine Lake Road.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Big news, Nebraska. Love Omaha is now Love Nebraska. This is more than just a new name. It's a tribute to what Nebraska represents in the world of volleyball. It's still the same team with the same mission, led by players you know and love. Now backed by a new ownership group led by Jordan Larson. As Love Nebraska, they're entering an exciting new chapter, pushing for a championship title in 2026 and building new opportunities for the next generation of players across the state. They want you with them. Let's show the world how Nebraska plays volleyball. Join the movement at lovneb.com and sign up to become a Love Nebraska insider today.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You guys are great. A lot of great thoughts on our Sartor Hamann Jewelers text line as we look at the state of the transfer portal, if you will, especially as it comes to Nebraska high school athletics. Austin Orman here, and you, Sartor Hamann Jewelers text line, are a fantastic piece of this conversation. Let's just keep rolling through the list of texts here. We'll go to Scott in Lincoln. It's very difficult to agree with what Millard South is doing. It's completely unfair to every other kid in the state of Nebraska who busts their butt to try to be able to be the best thing they can be, and to know that another school is automatically getting all the best players because of transfer rules. It's just sad. I can agree that it's difficult to agree with what Millard South is doing and what Westside is doing. But maybe instead of doing something wrong, maybe they're doing something right in building up a program that young student athletes want to play for. Maybe they're doing a good job with their academic offerings, and that's what attracts people to that district. And who am I to stand in the way of that? Who am I to say that's wrong? If they have a competitive or comparative advantage, whichever way you want to look at it, good on them for it. As long as they're not breaking any rules. And there's a big difference, of course, between breaking the letter of the law and breaking the spirit of the law. Let's go back to that Flatwater Free Press article here. There's an interesting little section here about who decides to transfer. And so, according to Mike Sauter, friend of the program, overwhelmingly, he says it's parents eyeing college athletics opportunities for their kids who initiate conversations with coaches, not coaches initiating conversations with players and families. And then you add the club sports and social media breaking down some of those natural geographic barriers. There were some numbers in there about what could have happened, what could have been done in terms of the transfer portal, in terms of transfer portal, athletic and academic transfers in high school. So from the same article on the Flatwater Free Press, in 1989, Nebraska became one of the first states to allow students to transfer outside their home district through a program known as option enrollment. But even before it became law, critics worried the education policy would have sporting implications. A year earlier, in 1988, Minnesota's creation of a similar law had set off a chaotic flurry of illicit recruitment and high school athletes switching teams. To prevent that fate, Nebraska barred districts from considering athletic abilities as part of their admission standards and prohibited students from competing for a year at their new schools. The sit-out period was shortened from 1 full year to 90 days in 1990. Today, most transfer athletes don't have to sit at all. High schoolers get one free transfer as long as their schools tell the NSAA about the impending transfer by May 1st. In each of the last 3 years, more than 450 student athletes moving both within and between districts have appeared on that May 1st list. Let's get to this from an anonymous texter who says, I'm a high school coach in Lincoln. This is happening like crazy in LPS. It's ruining high school athletics. A lot of evidence in recruiting has been pushed aside. Kids put bullying when their initial transfer request gets denied, and that gets it automatically accepted. It's a real mess and is not high school athletics. This shouldn't be college. Yeah, anonymous texter, that does seem kind of like a cop-out. Again, if it's true, if there is legitimate bullying going on, yeah, get him out of the district, get him to a new school, give him a fresh start. But if you're using that as a fake reason to transfer, that minimizes the very real downsides and harms of bullying, and especially for those who are trapped in their district that don't have the opportunity or the means to be able to transfer out. John on the Sartor Hamann Jewelers text line. As far as high school transferring, if you want to get noticed, if you're good enough, somebody will find you. That's usually how it works. That's sometimes how it works. You think about a guy like Carter Nelson at Ainsworth, right? Why did Carter Nelson get recruited? Well, guess what? It wasn't because he just played sports at Ainsworth. He did the camps. He did the circuit. That cost money. Carter Nelson and his family put in the legwork to get him recruited. It wasn't just his head coach calling around and saying, hey, this Carter kid's pretty good. You better fly out to Ainsworth, Nebraska to do that. Nick Saban doesn't get on a plane and go to Ainsworth just because Ainsworth's head coach calls him. It's because Carter Nelson's been around on the circuit and done camps and impressed out there. So as much as we would love it to simply be, if you're good enough, somebody will find you, that's just not necessarily true. We'd love it to be true, but we can't just buy into that narrative. It's sometimes true. It's not always true. Let's go ahead and go to break. You guys are coming in with even more text. I think this is going to be a really good discussion to continue. So as we look here, Joe B., Mr. Mike D. Kip as well. We'll get to you guys and plenty more on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. This is Old School, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. We'll keep talking high school transfer portal in Nebraska after this on Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Big news, Nebraska. Love Omaha is now Love Nebraska. This is more than just a new name. It's a tribute to what Nebraska represents in the world of volleyball. It's still the same team with the same mission, led by players you know and love. Now backed by a new ownership group led by Jordan Larson. As Love Nebraska, they're entering an exciting new chapter, pushing for a championship title in 2026 and building new opportunities for the next generation of players across the state. They want you with them. Let's show the world how Nebraska plays volleyball. Join the movement at lovneb.com and sign up to become a Love Nebraska Insider today.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Farmers know it all starts with the soil. At Carbon Connections, they're helping you unlock its full potential. Their high-quality humic acid improves nutrient uptake, boosts root development, and enhances soil structure, so your crops get more from every acre. But it doesn't stop there. With a full lineup of crop protection products, they help you reduce synthetic inputs while protecting yields and profits. Smarter inputs, healthier soils, better returns. It's time to grow more naturally. Visit Carbon Connections on Facebook or call them today at 402-947-1476 to learn how they can help your farm thrive. Carbon Connections, unlocking your potential. M-Suits Clothiers, Lincoln's favorite men's store, is ready for homecoming season. There's no time to wait. Visit today to help your student find that perfect outfit for their homecoming. M-Suits has a selection of ties and bow ties to match any homecoming dress color you can think of. M-Suits Clothiers, 1 block south of 56th and Pine Lake Road.
It's time for Bonsall Pool and Spa's Truckload event. From September 23rd through the 27th, stop by Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard to see an actual truck full of hot tubs with special prices. You'll save up to $3,000 on all hot tubs and swim spas, as well as $1,500 on all saunas and cold plunges. Use Nebraska football's bye week well by stopping in on September 27th for refreshments and giveaways. That's Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard in Lincoln.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Austin Norman with you on Old School 93.7 Ticket, ticketfm.com. We'll hear from Jay Foreman coming up here in just a little while. But until then, appreciate all of you on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line keeping me company. This is Old School brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. To learn more, you can go to themercadobutcher.com today. Check out their selection. Find out where their 3 locations are in Lincoln as well as one up in Omaha. And I do recommend that you transfer your meat buying money to the good folks at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. They have excellent product, excellent service, excellent staff. They are the best. All right, back on task. Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line 402-464-5685. 4979. Does playing on a better team actually support more athletic development, i.e. Cam Jurgens' Beatrice? He didn't play on a great team. It does and it doesn't, right? There's something about being the best player on the team, but I think that we can see every time Cam Jurgens goes back home how much Beatrice appreciates him sticking around, and continuing to play for Beatrice instead of going to play for Norris or transferring into, say, Lincoln Southwest or some such, wouldn't have been quite the same for Cam. Maybe he gets better coaching. Maybe he gets better development. But maybe he doesn't turn into Cam Jurgens. If he makes that move, we'll never know. But yes, I mean, we see this in college and in high school and even in the pros, right? The better of a team that you play on, you would think you're going to be getting better coaching. You'll be pushed by better athletes that will help make you better. The flip side of that is from 5317, who says, I transferred high school, so I had an opportunity to play sports. 5317, I would really love to know where you began your high school journey at and then where it is you ended up, because I think that transfer can go a lot of different ways, right? Either you transfer from a big school to a smaller school, or maybe it's within the same class, but you transfer from a program where even as a junior, you're on the JV team, but you can get varsity reps if you transfer somewhere else just because their program isn't in the same spot. He says, started at Lincoln Southeast, graduated from Lincoln High. Let me know what sports you played as well, 5317. I think there's a lot that goes into it, right? Or would you transfer from a class C1 school in your area to, baseball? Okay, 5317. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Southeast had a decent baseball program as well. So, yeah, I get that. I guess it makes sense. Appreciate you chiming in there, 5317. 3477 mentions guys like Cale Fountain and Jackson Reitz in that discussion. Mr. Mike D, club volleyball has killed girls high school basketball in Nebraska. Club sports in general have caused such an uptick in high school transfers. I agree more with the second point than I do the first. Club volleyball has killed girls high school basketball in Nebraska. We'll start with that, though. It certainly made the numbers dwindle, but that to me is more a parent and athlete problem than a volleyball versus basketball problem. There shouldn't be anything wrong with the increase in popularity in volleyball for young girls across the state of Nebraska. We see that there are incredible coaches everywhere you turn in that sport. We know that a lot of the growth and popularity of volleyball has happened right here in Nebraska. Why hasn't it happened other places the same way? It's an advantage for Nebraska, right? Doing it bigger, doing it better, doing it more. The problem I have potentially with club volleyball is that because of just how competitive it is, it feels like if you're not playing volleyball year round, you're falling behind. You're missing out. Well, this other girl played volleyball for 11 months out of the year, only took 1 month off to, I don't know, train or go on vacation. She's going to be, without a doubt, a better volleyball player than the one that ended up playing basketball and running track or playing softball. No, not necessarily true. And I abhor, it pisses me off with a burning passion that there's been this mindset instilled in high school athletes that they have to specialize or they're falling behind. It's just not true. Not to the degree that it's been made to seem true. Now, there are some places, right? Well, maybe you're at a big Class A school, you're a 6A school in Texas or whatever, where you're not the star athlete. You're good. You're good enough to start in at least one sport, maybe two, but you're going up against other student athletes in your grade or on your team that have specialized. At that point, you want to get on the floor. I can understand you wanting to specialize. But if you're at a Class B school, you're at a Class C1 school, even most Nebraska Class A schools, the majority of the time, if you're a good enough athlete, you should most likely be able to start or play a significant role on multiple teams, right? Think about Jet Tamala at Millard South. Not only is he the starting quarterback, he starts on the basketball team as well, right? And you can go up and down the list of student athletes like that, whether it's, Scut football and baseball, whether it's, West Side football and basketball. There's got to be some overlap. These schools are big. They're good. There's competition. But I don't even think these Nebraska high schools are big enough to where you can say, well, if I don't specialize, I'm not gonna see any playing time. I just have a hard time believing that's true. If it is true, and that's your experience as a parent, as a former athlete in that realm, please let me know if I'm wrong. But if you only enjoy one sport, okay, so be it. Only play that one sport because you enjoy it. I'm not going to force you, if you're at a C1 or a B school, to go out for football and basketball and track or baseball or whatever your spring sport would be, just out of obligation, right? I mean, full disclosure. I went to a C1 high school. I went to Lincoln Lutheran. I didn't play football because I didn't like it. The numbers in terms of participation at Lincoln Lutheran were horrible when I was there for a while. They were going down. They were dwindling. The program was not in a good spot. It's certainly rebounded. It's certainly going back in the right direction. But I can just think back to my high school experience. I didn't want to feel obligated to play football, a sport that I didn't enjoy playing as much, just because it would have been, quote unquote, the right thing to do. Well, you have the opportunity. Don't let it slip away. You have the chance to play a sport in all 3 seasons. Why wouldn't you? And I get that. I heard that argument a little bit, but football just wasn't for me. Maybe that's not true, and I convinced myself it was, or maybe it was true, and I made the right decision early. But during football season, you know what I was doing? I was in the gym getting shots up. I was taking batting practice. After I just gotten done with Legion ball. And I'm not the best example to use by any stretch of the imagination, but when it comes to club volleyball killing basketball, that doesn't have to be true. If club volleyball is killing basketball, that is my initial reaction, and I'll talk through this a little bit. My initial reaction is shame on those club coaches for being selfish, making it about them, growing their brand, their profile, and their program, instead of allowing their student athlete to do something else they might enjoy. But then here's the flip side. What if all you love is volleyball as a young student athlete growing up, and that's all you want to play? You never had any interest in basketball, never had any interest in just running because cardio is boring. Volleyball is your love. That's fine. So be it. But you can't tell me that all the girls that have gone from playing volleyball in the fall and basketball in the winter, you can't tell me that 90% of that difference is made up by, oh yeah, we only love volleyball, we only like volleyball. I worry there is too much pressure from above, whether that's parents, whether that's coaches, guardians, advisors, whoever it is. My fear and my worry is that there's too much pressure from people in authority or well-respected people in the lives of these student athletes that push them to specialize too early. It is unnecessary. It is a false dichotomy. It does not have to be true. The second part, though, Mr. Mike D., whose text we're on, club sports in general have caused such an uptick in high school transfers. That's undeniable. Absolutely undeniable. Because you're playing with athletes from other school districts, from other schools, from different walks of life. And when you get a good thing going, you don't want it to end. When you find people that you work well with, that you enjoy being around, and it's a fun environment for you, absolutely, you want that to continue. It's just unfortunate that the success of, say, Millard South or in Omaha West Side, that's probably the better example. It's really unfortunate the success of an Omaha West Side winning the back-to-back state titles had to come essentially at the expense of Burke. When Coach Lamanji brought like a dozen players from Burke to West Side. You know, once it's a zero-sum game, right? Someone wins, someone loses. It's 1-1, right? And you look across classes, someone wins and someone loses. But I think we all, or many of us, I won't speak for everyone. Sorry, let me retract that. I think there's at least a little bit of all of us that miss that magic of growing up with a group of guys or gals, and those are your teammates, those are your friends for life that you played sports with from the time you could walk to the time you went your separate ways in college. And I don't think it's necessarily wrong in general. It's just different, and that we do live in a new day and age with more club sports, with more transfers. But the hope is that it's done for the right reasons. And we can't police what the right reasons are for each person or family. And I don't want us as sports fans to be in the business of judging what makes a good transfer, what makes a bad transfer, of what makes a good program, of what makes a bad program. I'm about to sneeze, so pardon me if that happens here in a sec. It's just a very tough line to walk. It absolutely is. Joe B in 9307, not going to dabble in rumors, right? There's hearsay. There's all sorts of stuff out there. Until it's validated, until it's confirmed, we're not going to bring that up. Of course, there are whispers. We all hear them, but we're not going to dabble in rumors here. Kip, appreciate you chiming in here. He says, I'm very passionate about how club sports are impacting the sports that I coach, wherever it is that you're doing that, Kip. Really, really appreciate your insight. He says, it used to be select teams. Now it's parents select the team and write a check. It's the orange slice mentality. Parents spend more than a full ride scholarship on club fees, travel, food, time away from the rest of the family. It's a joke. Save your money, play school sports, then pay for your kid to go to college with that money. Again, Kip, I really appreciate your perspective. I see where it is you're from and what you're doing. Really appreciate you chiming into the show and giving your thoughts. I was never a select sports kid. I wasn't. I know plenty of people who were. Some of my best friends were select sports. But I think over the last 10 or 15 years, playing select has kind of lost its luster in a lot of ways in terms of, are you really honestly, truly getting development that's a step ahead of everyone else? Again, not that I'm the perfect quintessential example. All that I can do is speak from my experience and tell you what it is that I went through. And I'll just use my baseball and basketball examples, such as it is, right? So baseball, I never played travel ball. Never did that growing up. I didn't. Neither did my younger brothers. We played the Junior Salt Dogs League. We went in and then we played our Legion Juniors and our Legion Seniors. We had kids come in and out of those teams. We had kids go in and out of the Legion program, right? We had some that would play, and of course, spring baseball, right? Lincoln Lutheran put a team together right before I got to high school There for a while, we were co-oping with Raymond Central and Wahoo just to field a team. Wouldn't trade those memories for the world. I can't imagine, not playing with those same guys that I played with to just go be on a select team that traveled across the country all summer. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong at all. But what I can tell you is that, number one, through the grace of God, number two, through the great coaching that I received outside of select teams, number three, through a little bit of, spit and elbow grease, I was all conference in baseball more times than many of my teammates who played select. And that's just one example. That's just me. I played Class B baseball in the co-op. I didn't go anywhere for college. I'm at peace with that. But just going to play select ball is not necessarily okay, my kid's going to get recruited. Oh, my kid's necessarily going to get better coaching. My brothers and I made it work. And then in basketball, I mean, the team that is nearest and dearest to my heart, when I think about my athletic career, as storied as it was, is the senior year basketball team that I played on. I mean, starting in fourth grade, I played with the same group of guys all the way through my senior year. That's 9 years of basketball that we had together. What did we play? We played YMCA league basketball. We played school basketball. We didn't go on the select teams, the travel teams, the club teams that have their role, that have their purpose, right? But none of us were going to get recruited by colleges to go play. Maybe we could have had we joined those teams. It's too late now. We'll never know. But some of the best memories I have from middle school sports and high school sports are with the same group of guys that I played with for 9 years. Max and Garrett, I know they're not listening. Still appreciate them anyways. I mean, I remember conversations between the three of us where, like, our goal is to get Lincoln Lutheran basketball back to state. Didn't happen when we were there. We ended up a game away a couple different times, and we got to live with that. But I wouldn't trade the memories or the journey for the world. For my money, the 15-16 Lincoln Lutheran team is the best in school history. No offense, Coach Bowens. Don't know if you're listening now, but I'd take my 15-16 group over any of the teams in recent years. But, it's just some of the magic of high school, right? Growing up with those guys, getting to know them, learning how each other works on a basketball court. It's not dead. It's not gone. But I worry that we're losing some of that. But then, yeah, I mean, the amount of money that gets spent on, really, you're paying for the status more than the coaching at this point. I feel like in select in a lot of instances. Not every case. Sure, there are good select programs and bad select programs, better and worse. I get it. But just playing select, just paying that extra money to go travel around the country, if that's the experience you want to have, more power to you. Go have that experience, knock yourself out. It doesn't have to be for everyone. We don't have to say this is the only way that you're going to get recruited. It's not the only way that you're going to develop into a good player. It's just not true. Select, club, travel, AAU, transferring schools is not the only way to be successful. It's just not. Not that I was a success at the highest level, but I'm happy with where I ended up, and not that I can speak for everyone. 2281. Volleyball is growing because it's not a contact sport. Football is also losing numbers. I mentioned this with, I think it was Raph as well, is that it's fascinating to see football grow as a spectator sport. But again, without having the hard numbers in front of me, anecdotally feel like participation is going down. Maybe that's concerns over player safety. Maybe it's the kids these days are soft. I don't know. But I feel like we have seen a rise in popularity in basketball over football. I don't know why that is in terms of student athletes end up playing these sports, but anecdotally it feels true. Big Bird, didn't Grand Island have to cancel their girls basketball season? Yes, I believe that did end up happening, and that's wildly unfortunate, right? It's never good when you have to shut down a program for a year because of a lack of numbers anywhere, let alone at a Class A school. It's not a good look. It's painful. It's brutal. And it's a missed opportunity for all those young student athletes. It's really a shame. 12U Dinger King. Select sports is a money machine business. They scream development, but it's not true. It's about winning rings and coaches' egos. You can find examples of the good and you can find examples of the bad everywhere you look. Again, without having been a part of the select baseball culture, I don't know what it's about. I hear the same stories, but I don't want to get bogged down in that's the narrative. If that's true, if the select baseball mindset is come in, throw your sliders at age 12, blow your arm out, and you can do that because I'll feel good about myself as a coach for winning a ring, that's a problem. If it's all about, as a coach, oh yeah, look how many of the best kids I can accumulate and put them into these well-placed programs and then go on to bigger, better things, great. But it should be about the kid. It should not be about you. Unmasked Texter, youth sports is cutthroat. Soccer and baseball are by far the worst, with basketball coming close. And see, this is again where we can all have our personal feelings, and I don't have a right or wrong answer, but I can tell you it doesn't necessarily feel the best, right? Club soccer, travel soccer, club baseball, travel baseball, select baseball, whatever name you're going to put it by, club basketball, travel basketball, AAU basketball. If basketball is your favorite sport, that's all you want to do. If volleyball is your favorite sport, that's all you want to do. You want to travel around year round. You want to get good at it, and that's your jam. More power to you. Honestly, I mean that. If that's your jam, if that's what your kid wants to do, and you want to support him in that, by all means, go for it. Please do not feel like I'm talking down to you. If you find a good program, if you find a good coach that you think is good for the personal and athletic development of your young student athlete, and it works for you as a family, please go do your thing. Absolutely go do your thing. But don't feel obligated like that's your only option. And then when it comes to the cutthroat, we got to have a happy medium as a culture and as people between, oh, winning doesn't matter, everyone gets a participation trophy, and winning is the only thing that matters. You have to transfer out of, playing with your friends so you can go win a state championship and get recruited by a better school. Again, there's nuance to it, and if you missed any of the conversation, if you're just tuning in on your drive home, would really recommend you go back and listen to really the first hour of the show leading into this discussion where I went into more of the nuance, right? Youth sports has to be a place where you learn to win. How are you going to learn to win with class if not when you're young? It has to be a place where you learn to lose with class and with grace. If you don't learn how to handle adversity early, when are you ever going to learn how to handle adversity, handle losing with class? Where else are you going to get that motivation to get better when all you do is win? Facing adversity is a necessary part of life. And I'm not saying, go just stick yourself out in the boonies just so you lose to build up toughness. No, we all want to win. I get it. Absolutely. But can't we have a happy medium where you do the best you can with what you got where you're at? Can't you just stay in your school district because it's a good school? You don't have to, blur the lines of any rules. And sure, maybe they're not your best friends, but you're good enough friends with these people that, hey, give it a chance, stick it out. You never know if you can do something special. I cannot tell you that transferring to a school with a better athletic program is wrong. I understand it. In fact, it might even be the right decision. But there's something about it, I assume in most of us, where it just feels wrong. It feels off to transfer for solely athletic reasons in high school. Even in college, for solely athletic reasons, it doesn't feel great. And that's led to a lot of discussions that we've had on this show and others about the transfer portal. I can't say it's wrong, right? It's for everyone to decide what's best for them. I get it. And again, do I think that legislation and changing the rules is the right move? Maybe. But I can't say it for 100% of a fact. If it is just a passing trend that's going to go away, let's not be rash and implement rules just to make us feel like we're doing something, because there's always unintended consequences. But at the same time, you can't just sit back and do nothing if Class A football is actively being harmed. And that's where let's get to this as well. So Stu Pospisil, obviously writing for the Omaha World Herald, one of the best on the high school beat, he tweeted this out same day actually as that Flatwater Free Press article dropped. He says, according to the NSAA, so Class A football will drop district competition starting with the 2026 season. That was approved by the NSAA board a week ago. Yesterday, a group of 11 Class A athletic directors developed the proposal that strives to eliminate mismatches while keeping the current point system. So the top 16 teams in points will advance to the state playoffs. The OPS AD said the 36 schools in Class A for 26-27 were surveyed about this proposal. 5 initially voted no, and towards the end, 34 out of 36 voted yes, with only 2 holdouts. So the NSAA, instead of cracking down on the transfers, is instead taking a look at the scheduling model, where it's not just going to be the same powers beating up on the same also-rans in the district all the time. So what is that able to do? You get best on best. You don't have these wild mismatches. I think the hope for this proposal is that, going back to that Flatwater Free Press article, is that a school like Benson, right, when it's playing, Northwest, and if it's playing Burke, and if it's playing Bellevue East more often, hey, we have a chance. Hey, we feel like we can win some of these games. Because, yes, you would love every athlete to go into every game with the mindset of, we're going to win. We can do this if we have a plan and we work hard enough, we stick together. Sometimes you're out-talented, and that's not enough. But sometimes you got to develop that mindset. It doesn't come from anywhere. You need tangible signs of success and progress to develop that mentality. And if it doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe you're around the corner from the light and it's not shining in yet. Maybe the end of the tunnel is blocked, and you need something like this from the NSAA to unblock the other side of the tunnel so you can see that little beam of light. Whatever it is, it seems like the NSAA is aware of the issue, is recognizing it. And I do appreciate, I think, that this effort to get more quote unquote good on good matchups, and more matchups that, lend themselves to the level of competition that each school should be playing at. Because then, let's say, the Millard schools are in a division or play more often against each other, and then against a Bellevue West and a West Side and a Gretna and stuff like that. That should be good for competition in the long run, because I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's ethically or morally correct to simply legislate advantages away. You still need a competition-based system. What I think this will do, though, is if you're playing teams that are more your peers, it changes the type of innovation that you need, and it gives the teams that are currently on the bottom a chance to cycle back up to the top, to build confidence, to build a program. And it's absolutely not going to be an overnight fix. This probably won't bear fruit for another decade. And then even on top of that, just saying, oh, you're only going to play these other teams that are closer to your level isn't necessarily a fix. It's going to take hard work from the community. It's going to take the right coach, the right athletic director, the right group of parents, the right group of kids to finally come through, these other systems, these other schools in OPS or LPS or whatever it is, to make that change. Just because you change the rules, it's not a given they're going to work. But it's probably not going to work if you don't change the rules and amend them to meet the current moment and situation. We'll go to break there. We'll continue Old School right after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
It's time for Bonsall Pool and Spa's Truckload event. From September 23rd through the 27th, stop by Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard to see an actual truck full of hot tubs with special prices. You'll save up to $3,000 on all hot tubs and swim spas, as well as $1,500 on all saunas and cold plunges. Use Nebraska football's bye week well by stopping in on September 27th for refreshments and giveaways. That's Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard in Lincoln.
This is your year where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Hey, Husker fans, Max 10 is turning up the excitement this season. They're giving away a pair of Husker volleyball tickets, and every time you tan, you're entered to win. Experience the 2025 season tour, featuring high-pressure tanning, rejuvenating red light therapy, and flawless spray tanning, all for just $20.25. Look good, feel amazing, and cheer on the Lady Huskers in style. Max Tan, take it to the max.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do, too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We are going to see plenty of sunshine here for the rest of our Friday. We'll get all the way up to 85 for a high temperature with a little bit of a breeze here this afternoon. That breeze will die down if you're heading out to any high school football games tonight. We'll drop down to 60 for an overnight low. Weekend's looking great. We'll get up to 81 for a high on Saturday and 86 on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Donna for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on Old School. Austin Norman with EJ Foreman joining the show at 5. This segment of the program brought to you by the great people at Heartland of Nebraska Window. Locally and family-owned company based out of Hallam, Nebraska. They offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl, triple-pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while still keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows, like I said, locally and family-owned with their own team of installers. Give them a call today for more info at 402-430-3852, or you can visit online, heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Back to our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, keeping the conversation rolling. We will go to 0964. Blowouts in sports are a huge waste of time for both teams involved. I've been on both ends of it. Yeah, I'm sure Indiana and Illinois really feel like they wasted their time on Saturday. That's why you play the game and part of it. But it's different when a blowout happens organically like that, and it's an eye-opener like, whoa, what did we just witness? Versus the deck is stacked against you. You know, there's two different ways to get to a blowout. It's either that surprise or that you saw it coming. You never feel good about a blowout when you didn't see it coming if you're a team that thought you were going to be competitive. You feel great about a blowout when you're a team that says, yeah, we really like our chances, we got a good team, and then it's your night and everything's clicking. But when it's, we've accumulated all the top talent and we just need some tune-up games before we go to the state tournament, yeah, that never feels good. Or, hey, we have all the resources, you have none of the resources, we have all the players, you have none of the players, take this whooping. That never feels good. And that exactly is a waste of everyone's time. Disc Golf Jake, I do think this is interesting. He says, the anti-participation trophy crowd is wild to me, especially the ones who run 5K half marathons and marathons. You know what they get and what they display? Participation trophies. Disc Golf Jake, let me know, are you a runner? Are you one of those people who runs? If so, more power to you, more credit to you. Could not be me. Probably will never be me. Running just for running's sake? Yeah, absolutely not. Not about it. But think too about the culture around those sports. Running, you can do it individually, you can do it solo, or you can run with your buddies, you can run with your friends, right? Oh, let's just get together and we'll have a running club, a jogging club. We'll do it, get our exercise together, and that's great. You know, there are competitive runners, absolutely, right? I mean, you look at Olympic track and field, you look at college, high school track. Yeah, there's absolutely competitive running. There is, I get it. But there's also much simpler, easier ways to make running into not a non-competitive venture, but a venture that is you against you. And you go into it thinking that, no, I'm not an ultra marathoner. No, I'm not going to, run 26 miles in sub 2 hours or anything like that. But you can always better yourself. And so in running and distance running, in 5Ks, half marathons, and marathons, there can be an element of, I beat myself. I did better than I did before. It can be, hey, I have never done this before, and here's the challenge that I conquered. But it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like football. It's not like basketball. It's not like baseball, where there's a winner and there's a loser. Yes, there's a winner in a race. I get it. There's a first place medal. There's a second place medal. There's a third place medal. But that's not the goal for everyone who signs up to run a 5K, a half marathon, or marathon. Winning is the goal, is what we're told is the goal in football and basketball and baseball and volleyball and softball, what have you, So maybe winning being the focus is wrong, but it's just such a different mindset between those sports. So I can understand where, if you're in a youth football league, or if you're in a youth baseball league, I think it's kind of stupid to hand out an 8th place trophy or a 7th place trophy, right? You get your gold medal, your bronze medal, your silver medal, your bronze medal, right? You finish first, second, or third in your league. Cool. You get a prize, because if you give everyone in those sports a trophy, sure, some of them will discard it. Yeah, whatever. I know it doesn't mean anything. But also by giving everyone something, even if we know in our heads and in our hearts and our brains and minds and guts, what have you, that the 8th place trophy doesn't mean as much as the 1st place trophy, there's something about winning, about having something that someone else doesn't have, that just triggers something in our brains, right? Sometimes in a good way, right? Man, Jay's talked about it. The feeling of winning being addicting. I can't not win. I can't not do everything I have to win because I like winning. I like making other people lose. And it's really cool holding up that Orange Bowl trophy at the end of the year. It's really cool holding up the Fiesta Bowl trophy at the end of the year. And then there's the flip side of it. Man, it would be really nice to win, but I'm not going to luck into winning. It's not just going to happen. If I want to hold up that Heisman trophy, if I want to hold up that 1st place medal, I got to train harder. I got to push myself to places that I didn't think I could reach. Sometimes it's healthy not to give out a participation trophy in sports like football, in basketball, and baseball, volleyball, what have you, where that's the culture. Running is different. Swimming here and there could be different. I don't know. I'm not, again, in the swimming world at all. But I think about that example of the 5K half marathons and marathons. Would I keep my participation trophy, medal, ribbon, whatever? If I were ever to run, I probably would keep my first one because guess what? I haven't done it. And then let's say that I enjoy it and I really like running and I get into it and then I run a better time my next time. Yeah, you know what? I'm keeping that. I'm proud of myself of the step forward that I took. But we measure winning in different ways in different sports. So I think that the participation trophy culture isn't just a one size fits all. It's not just a simple catch-all term because it manifests itself in so many different ways across these sports. 9307, appreciate your thoughts. Eric, now Austin hates running and people getting healthy. Oh, I do hate running. Oh, I do. So running for me is, yeah, coach, I can hit a triple. Yeah, coach, I'll go from first to home on a double in the gap. I got you. Yeah, I'll score from first on a single. Or sure, yeah, I can run down this fast break and I can hustle back on defense. Sure, we can press for a few possessions. I can run. But just putting my head down and running has never stuck with me. It just hasn't. Not that I've given it maybe the old college try and put my mind to it and stuck with it in any dedicated way, shape, or form. But it's just not for me. Like, why would I want to run in place on a treadmill for 20 minutes? What's the point of that? Because it makes me feel better? No, it's boring. Well, listen to music, listen to a podcast. Yeah, that doesn't help. I'm thinking about how heavy I'm breathing. And I'm thinking about this is pointless. I'm standing still. My neighborhood just isn't that interesting to run around. I don't have this overwhelming need to just get out and run to see the sights of my city or in my neighborhood. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's a character flaw. Tell me if it is. But I've never just been interested in putting my head down and running. Now, put a piece of leather on my hand and hit something in the air. Oh, I'm running after that thing. I'm going to go get it. There's a loose ball out there. Yep, I'm after it. Tell me to beat you to the fence. Yeah, I'll put my head down and I'll run for a little bit. But man, cross country, no, sir, not for me. Even track. I always felt like my relative speed played down in track. I always felt a lot faster when I was in the outfield. I always felt a lot faster when I was dribbling a basketball than I was without it. Maybe that makes me crazy, but I think there's something to it, right? It's not that I wasn't motivated to run fast when I did track in middle school or in conditioning, right? That's something I appreciate about what my parents did, win every conditioning drill. Yeah, I mean, that was always on my mind. I was always above average speed, not maybe the fastest kid that the Lincoln Lutheran ever saw, but certainly fast enough to get the job done. But just running until I don't feel like running anymore, or just running for hours because that's a way to be healthy. No, I miss the community aspect of playing sports, right? I miss the fellows I played basketball with. I miss my baseball teammates. And part of that's natural. It's life. It's moving on. And part of it's the hours, right? I'm here. Hard to find runs late at night. I want to spend time with my family. Running and sports just don't feel like they're in the cards for me right now. I'd love them to be again in the future. I just don't know how to get back into it. I felt kind of lost athletically, since sports dried up for me after my freshman year of college. But I'm sure as heck not going to running for that release and that outlet. Unmasked texter, giving everyone a participation trophy justifies the people putting on the tournament to charge more money. It is a cost. The more, ribbons and trophies you buy, I absolutely understand that. Big Bird, I'll run up and down the court till my toes curl up from cramping, but wouldn't ever run just for fun. Thank you. No, there's got to be something more for me than just, let's just run. That's so nebulous. That's so open-ended. Give me a basketball. Give me baseball. Sure, even play flag football. I'll play, frisbee golf, or not even like just disc golf, right? But like, ultimate frisbee. There it is. I knew I'd get there eventually. Ultimate frisbee's freaking fun. That was a blast. That's my favorite basketball conditioning. But just go run around in circles or just run for, 10 seconds in your 100-meter dash. Nah, man, not going to do it. Unmasked texter, my daughter runs cross country and I think she's crazy. My wife was a cross country girl. She ran a half marathon. I respect the heck out of her for that. I am so proud of her to this day for that being what she did. It's incredible. I respect people who can do it. I'm sure I could if I put my mind to it, right? I've been told that I have that kind of 800-meter or cross-country type of build. But I haven't always, right? Like I was the little kid whose legs moved really quick when I was growing up. Distance didn't seem like it was in the cards for me. So maybe sometime in the future, wifey and I can get into running, but I've told her multiple times, don't hold your breath. If you want me to, I'll do it with you, but it's probably not for me. Westy, participation trophies are for parents who sucked at sports as a kid. Hilarious take. That is pretty funny. But wow, guys, this has taken up 2 hours. This has been an incredible conversation. We got a short segment left here in hour 2 of Old School. Jay Foreman will be on the horn for hour 3. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do, too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Farmers know it all starts with the soil. At Carbon Connections, they're helping you unlock its full potential. Their high-quality humic acid improves nutrient uptake, boosts root development, and enhances soil structure, so your crops get more from every acre. But it doesn't stop there. With a full lineup of crop protection products, they help you reduce synthetic inputs while protecting yields and profits. Smarter inputs, healthier soils, better returns. It's time to grow more naturally. Visit Carbon Connections on Facebook or call them today at 402-947-1476 to learn how they can help your farm thrive. Carbon Connections, unlocking your potential. Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. For tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Hey, Husker fans, Max 10 is turning up the excitement this season. They're giving away a pair of Husker volleyball tickets, and every time you tan, you're entered to win. Experience the 2025 season tour featuring high-pressure tanning, rejuvenating red light therapy, and flawless spray tanning, all for just $20.25. Look good, feel amazing, and cheer on the Lady Huskers in style. Max Tan, take it to the max.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Couple more texts to get to as we continue our discussion of high school athletics and the state of them here in the state of Nebraska. This segment brought to you by Love Volleyball Nebraska. No longer Love Volleyball Omaha. Now it's Love Volleyball Nebraska. You can get your tickets. You can get everything you need to become a Love Volleyball member today at lovb.com. Appreciate my dad listening. Coach Dad, right? He's a big driver behind where I am as a person, where I got to as an athlete as well. So as always, shout out Coach Dad for that. He says, the only excuse I can think of for specializing only playing one sport in high school is that some high school coaches, trust me, I've heard stories, automatically give preference to kids they know played for certain select or travel teams. That says more about the lack of character of the coach than it does about the quality of team a kid did or did not play for. Yeah, that's just the thing. The adults got to be the adults. The grown-ups got to be the grown-ups. What the adults prioritize, the young athletes will learn to prioritize. There will be some that push back against it, but it's hard to be a kid and not have the same mindset as your coach or not pick up at least some aspects of it. So adults, I assume that's the bulk of you listening in your cars on the drive home right now or on the podcast later, which, by the way, Spotify, I believe we're back. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Check out the podcast. If you ever miss any of the show, it's uploaded daily for you. If you ever miss anything, any of your favorite 93.7 The Ticket shows are wherever it is you are looking for your ticket content. But yeah, adults, be the grown-ups in the room, right? No, not everyone says, oh, that's the right way to do things. That's the wrong way to do things. Navigate the gray area with the best of intentions. That's the other piece of advice that I can offer you. As a coach, as a parent of an athlete, as a supporter of a team, whoever you are, whatever role you play, very rarely are these decisions black and white. So navigate the gray with the best in mind for your child. Whatever the best is, I leave that to you to determine. That is not necessarily my place. Let's get to this, though, to round out hour 2. Magnum PI says, is participation trophy culture even real? Both of my sons play in several baseball tournaments every spring and summer for the last 8 years. They've never received a trophy or ring for anything below runner-up. So, that's interesting. I think that it is fair to say that there was some aspect of participation trophy culture where it did seem like they were getting handed out like candy, where you did, as long as you played in the league or appeared in the tournament, you were able to, take home some hardware of some sort. And I think that, again, it has positives and negatives, and it's more about how you leverage those and how you use them, to what degree you emphasize the participation trophy culture versus the rings culture, the culture of winning at all costs. Because when you think about the dangers of only prioritizing winning, right? Unless you win, then you're not good enough. Unless you win, you're worth less. You're less valuable as a person, as an athlete. That is a dangerous message that we should not be sending to student athletes or to young children learning to play sports, which are an incredible vehicle for socialization and personal growth and societal growth. So we can't just say, unless you win, you are less than. That's the wrong message to send. But I also believe it's the wrong message to send. And sometimes I feel like, we've gone this way as a society where winning doesn't matter enough. Oh, you tried your best. Well, what happens to the winner, right? What happens to the high achieving kid or the high achieving team, whatever it is? Well, I won. I put in more hard work. I got some lucky breaks and took advantage of them. This is my special moment, but they get something to take home too. We can't only prioritize winning, but we shouldn't minimize it either. When student athletes, when teams go through something and they achieve more, that's worthy of being celebrated to a healthy degree. Not that they are more valuable because they won. Not because their work is more valuable because they achieved the ultimate goal and won the title, but because they did achieve more. That needs to be recognized, celebrated, and valued in a way that still doesn't demean others, but it does need to be put on a pedestal, deserves to be put on a pedestal. It's not wrong to celebrate winning. It's not wrong to, congratulate and appreciate the efforts and encourage those who didn't win. But there's a healthy balance where we can't just say, oh, just try and you're automatically good enough and you get this thing just for showing up. There's got to be levels to it. There's got to be nuance. Again, handle the gray area better. And same with winning. Winning can't be everything because not everyone wins. We can't place all the value on whether you won or you lost. But we also can't minimize that, hey, sometimes someone's better at something than someone else. Sometimes there's a team that's better at this than a different team. And so because of that, if a team wins a championship, someone wins a gold medal, yes, we get the first, second, and third. But if we give a participation trophy, if we give a stone medal to the 8th place runner in a 100-meter dash, and they feel like they got something, sometimes that can send the wrong message as well. So let's just be careful with our incentive structures. Let's be careful with our messaging, and let's navigate the gray area with the future in mind. Understand what message we're giving off. We'll go to break. Ought to have Jay Foreman, Husker Hall of Famer, on the line for hour 3 of Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, Husker fans, Max 10 is turning up the excitement this season. They're giving away a pair of Husker volleyball tickets, and every time you tan, you're entered to win. Experience the 2025 season tour featuring high-pressure tanning, rejuvenating red light therapy, and flawless spray tanning, all for just $20.25. Look good, feel amazing, and cheer on the Lady Huskers in style. Max Tan, take it to the max.
Farmers know it all starts with the soil. At Carbon Connections, they're helping you unlock its full potential. Their high-quality humic acid improves nutrient uptake, boosts root development, and enhances soil structure, so your crops get more from every acre. It doesn't stop there. With a full lineup of crop protection products, they help you reduce synthetic inputs while protecting yields and profits. Smarter inputs, healthier soils, better returns. It's time to grow more naturally. Visit Carbon Connections on Facebook or call them today at 402-947-1476 to learn how they can help your farm thrive. Carbon Connections, unlocking your potential.
This is your year, where your team takes it all the way. Win way more than bragging rights at Warhorse Casino, where your love of the game could put $1 million in your pocket. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with prizes all season long. Weekly cash prizes up to $1,000 cash, season-long leaderboards, and a chance to win $1 million. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Big news, Nebraska. Love Omaha is now Love Nebraska. This is more than just a new name. It's a tribute to what Nebraska represents in the world of volleyball. It's still the same team with the same mission, led by players you know and love. Now backed by a new ownership group led by Jordan Larson. As Love Nebraska, they're entering an exciting new chapter, pushing for a championship title in 2026 and building new opportunities for the next generation of players across the state. They want you with them. Let's show the world how Nebraska plays volleyball. Join the movement at lovneb.com and sign up to become a Love Nebraska Insider today.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC. This month kicks off Koppel's 50th anniversary sale. We're celebrating 50 years by offering an additional $500 discount to the next 100 customers that buy a new vehicle. This is in addition to the huge savings already in place. You can take an extra $500 off our discounted price, or we can cut you a check on the spot. Celebrate with savings and see why customers have trusted Koppel since 1975. It's our way of saying thank you for all these years.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
It's time for Bonsall Pool and Spa's Truckload event. From September 23rd through the 27th, stop by Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard to see an actual truck full of hot tubs with special prices. You'll save up to $3,000 on all hot tubs and swim spas, as well as $1,500 on all saunas and cold plunges. Use Nebraska football's bye week well by stopping in on September 27th for refreshments and giveaways. That's Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We are going to see plenty of sunshine here for the rest of our Friday. We'll get all the way up to 85 for a high temperature with a little bit of a breeze here this afternoon. That breeze will die down if you head out to any high school football games tonight. We'll drop down to 60 for an overnight low. Weekend's looking great. We'll get up to 81 for a high on Saturday and 86 on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dada for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, here we go. It's hour 3 of Old School 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you as always by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, special ingredients and butcher shop with 3 Lincoln locations and 1 up in Omaha. As promised, we got him on the horn, the Husker Hall of Famer, number 56, number 44. You know him, you love him. It's the host of Old School, Mr. Jay Foreman. Jay, a happy Friday to you, I hope. How are you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing all right for the circumstances. I mean, obviously, it's well known now. We, lost a teammate, out of nowhere. But it's football season, and so there's a little bit of, distraction right now. So, I mean, for the circumstances, I'm doing okay.
Well, appreciate you taking time to call in and be here for the last hour of the show. In terms of the world of sports, what's on your mind? I've spent 2 hours talking about high school issues here in the state of Nebraska. I don't know if you want to jump off on that or something else in the wide world of sports.
Well, obviously with Miller South stating their claim or at least standing on business, it's obviously, sent some shockwaves down 80 to Lincoln. As far as what could happen, what should happen, and what they need to do, moving forward to, kind of create some parity. But, it's much like I look at it like when, the Millard North, Bellevue West with, Chucky Hedbrun and obviously Hunter Salas and company, and you went on that 4 or 5 year run, you got to just ride the wave. I mean, obviously, we have talked and I have talked extensively about, increasing the, competitive, edge in Lincoln, as far as, creating an environment to be more competitive, not only against local competition, but then obviously up there in the metro. And sometimes when you come across a team like Miller South, who was able to win that, or not a national championship, but a state championship last year, and then have some record-setting players on their team right now, as far as Jet Tamala, and then obviously Amarion Jackson probably will go down as the leading wide receiver in Nebraska State history. Probably, send some shockwaves and some red alerts down there to Lincoln. And then obviously with the team that in Southeast, that is, the assumptive, the most competitive team as far as, size, speed, and guys going to the next level, versus, in both senior and then obviously younger classes, took a thumping last night. And, would you say things need to change? Sure. What can change? Not much. Does it really mean that, I think it more means like Lincoln needs to probably, ante up. I think the bridge between club coaches, high school coaches, and programs probably needs to go into warp speed. And, because that's what Omaha does. I think, when you look at it, Lincoln doesn't have middle school football. Omaha does in a lot of ways. And so I think you could start there and really not ruffle too many feathers. And then obviously I think you would see, an uptick in competitiveness. And then not only that, you'll be seeing some guys go to the next level. And that's what ultimately is what the goal is for a lot of young student athletes right now.
And see, that's a lot of good stuff to jump off on right there in terms of making it to the next level. That's why, at least assumptively, most of the transfers are happening, right? When you look at the number of student athletes that are transferring into these powerhouse programs, we had people texting in, Jay, not many of them, but a couple that said, well, no matter how good you are, wherever you're at, you'll be recruited. And I think that as much as we want to believe that's true, there is a legitimate recruiting benefit in going to a program where you're surrounded by better talent, because there's more likely to be coaches there at those games. There's something to be said for, being the example given was like a Cam Jurgens at Beatrice, where you're the no doubt best guy on your team, or a Carter Nelson up at Ainsworth. But at least Carter Nelson was going to camps around the country. It wasn't just Ainsworth's head coach calling around to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and Ryan Day and Scott Frost, Matt Rule at the time, and saying, hey, we got this kid Carter Nelson, you better come check him out, right? Carter did a lot of work to put himself on the map that would have been easier to do in a lot of respects had he been at a Millard South, for example, or a West Side, or even a Class B school, but he's in Class D1 at Ainsworth. So, yeah, there is benefit, I think, to transferring up. And for every one of those young student athletes that is their goal, to get to the next level for whatever their sport is. We don't have to go through and name them all, because it doesn't really matter what sport it is we're talking about. Even if they want to get recruited, not all of them will. And it's not the goal of everyone to be recruited, or maybe it's a pipe dream where they don't know how to go about getting recruited and it just might never happen. And that's not wrong, right? In a lot of ways, yeah, sports, it can be and should be tailored to the ones who want to go play at the next level. But is that the right approach to take in high school, right? Maybe there are, prep schools or programs that are better at it than others, because not every high school athlete can go to college and play. Maybe we do need to shift the mindset to not, participation trophy culture or whatever, but it's just worth remembering that as many as want to go to the next level won't go to the next level. In fact, majority won't end up going to the next level. And I don't think that the system needs to be skewed to the 10% of athletes that will go on to the next level at the expense of the 90% who won't.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, I think like you kind of know, and it really comes down to the student athlete and the family that wants to go along that journey. I think one of the things that really stymies that type of mindset is this new NIL transfer portal, because colleges don't really recruit high school kids. The lower colleges that really needed to recruit local high school kids in every sport walk around like they're Coach K and John Calipari, because they know they're in an advantageous position and they can pick and choose. And so, it's going to take a lot of mental fortitude and obviously intestinal fortitude to go along the journey. And that's why I don't think you need to change things for, like you said, the 10% or the 5% that wants to go out and explore their options. Now, I will say, just to give, I truly believe creating a competitive environment gives everybody the best high school experience.
Yes.
That's what I think, because it will bring things out in the student athletes that maybe that they've never thought that they could do or, achieve. That's a life lesson. A lot of times when I'm coaching kids, I'm talking about, this is not about basketball or football. This is a life lesson. And so I'm all for the competitive advantage. I think Lincoln could do a lot more as far as creating a competitive advantage without losing their foundation of education base and also creating an environment where everybody can play. But the standard could be raised, because I do think there's a lot of student athletes that are walking around Lincoln that haven't reached their potential. But there's things that at the high school level and the administration level that they have to address that they haven't had to address or haven't wanted to address in quite some time. And I'll go back to it. I think the Foster brothers in Lincoln Southeast maybe were the last Lincoln team to win a state championship.
Yeah, 2011 Lincoln Southeast.
Right. That's not too far off. Now, it's been 14 years. But when you start to reach close to 20 years, you got to start changing things, because staying stat or status quo is not good enough for not only student athletes, but also the city of Lincoln, because I do think that there is a lot of good athletes. I think you can foster a lot of good athletes. I think there's a lot of good athletes that maybe can't afford to play club sports, so then therefore you're going to have to shift some resources, and then obviously address some issues that kind of been pushed to the side. But I think at the end of the day, when you get, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, it'll be well worth it.
I tend to agree. And that's where, Jay, I don't want to just legislate Lincoln's problems out of existence, right? I think it could be good if Lincoln takes this as a challenge and says, you know what, if we want to get better, we have to get better. We can't just go to the NSAA and cry for rule changes. In light of the transfer thing, right? That's been a lot of the discussion here on the program today. And I ran down an entire list of questions that just feed into each other. Because let's just take like the Millard South example or the Omaha West Side example, where they do have a significant number of transfers. On the one hand, I get that it doesn't sit right with people, right? Just because you want to go to a different school, you shouldn't, just be allowed to. But also, who are we to say that we get to determine these kids' futures, right? If they think it's better for them to go to this school than another, that's not on me to tell them no. I don't want to have them sit in front of the NSAA's version of the NCAA transfer portal, 3-person jury. So they have to go through all these hearings. And, is this the right reason? Is this the wrong reason? I don't think that that's up for us to judge. I think that there are comparative and competitive advantages that some places have over others. That's natural. That's the way of the world. And that when you see a Millard South or a West Side doing something right, figure out what it is they're doing right. Now, of course, look into if there's anything shady going on behind the scenes. And if there are transfers for solely athletic reasons, again, I don't like it in high school. I think we're losing some of the magic of what high school sports is when you play with your friends in your neighborhood, you grow up together, you play sports for 10 years, you go on whatever, run you do in high school, and that's that. Like, I think we're losing some of the magic of that, but I don't think it's wrong to play with your club teammates. I don't think it's wrong to play for your club coach. I just think it's a new world. And it just doesn't sit right with a lot of people. And just saying, no, you can't transfer because we don't like it does a disservice to programs that might be doing something right in acquiring their talent.
Yeah, and I think that's what you want. You want your club teams to, go into, be a byproduct of your high school teams. And that's how you improve your high school team, by having them become your club team. And also, I think there's club coaches that can coach at the high school level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I think, as far as what are the prerequisites or whatever in order to coach at the high school level. I think, sometimes, and this is not, look, I will tell you, it's a selfless position to be a high school basketball coach or football coach or any coach, because it's a lot of time. It's not a lot of play and not a lot of pay. And you're taking time away from a lot of times your family and stuff like that. So I think it's one of those things that if done right, you'll be able to, see the fruits of your labor. I think you can also create an environment where a club coach can use the education base and what you're doing outside of the basketball court, football field, or, volleyball, court or whatever, as a motivation tool, and go lock in step with, the administration at the school. And I think that's what I think is missing. I think the easy part is to say, we're going to keep staying pat and we're just going to take our lumps and get our head beat in. But I think the reality is, if you really address it and then look at it and see how we can make a positive note, not only in our school system, but outside of our school system, and create some continuity, which then will create more competitive teams, then it will allow kids to go on to play, in whatever said sport, he or she wants to do, which is better for the city of Lincoln, which then will create, more people, not getting in trouble, more involvement in activities. And sports, I think, is a great avenue to create the environment that they want from an educational base, but then more importantly, from a day-to-day basis of how they act outside of said sport.
Yeah, and I think that there's definitely a balance to be struck there, where creating a positive sports culture, empowering your coaches and athletic directors to make those changes and be competitive. I mean, we see it across the country in college, and it's a little different in high school. I get it. But think about like Alabama's enrollment before Nick Saban got there, and then after they win all those titles. I mean, it's jumped by like 35, 40%. And a lot of it from out of state, right? Sports can absolutely be a driver. But I also think there's an aspect too where, yeah, you want to teach kids how to win. I mean, winning is absolutely the goal in football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, you name it, up and down the list. But is it too professionalized? Is it too corporatized in high school sports already, where, again, even if it's not wrong to transfer in pursuit of winning in rings, Is it being done because that's best for the student athlete who might be, the first in their family to go to college? Is it, best for the community to bring in all these transfers or to lose all these transfers? I don't know. There's not a right or wrong answer, but it just seems like right now there's kind of an imbalance in Nebraska Class A, especially in football. We were looking at an article here on the show where it says the average score of a Class A game last year was 43-10 that led to the NSAA and the Class A athletic directors, 34 out of 36 of them voting to get rid of the district system. So you can play more teams that are, more on the level of each other and have fewer these blowouts like we've seen. It's just tricky because we want it to be for the right reasons. We can't police what the right or wrong reasons are. And ultimately, it comes back to the adults in the room acting like the adults in the room. Prioritize sports to the right degree that they need to be prioritized to. But you can't make it all about sports in high school, I don't think, because then, we've seen what happens to that in colleges and the issues that college athletics are running into, which, again, we appreciate. We talk about it all day, but there's got to be a better balance in high school for these young student athletes who are still growing and shouldn't be expected to be professionals or make decisions like professionals when they're still kids.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, part of the environment. But I think as you move forward and kids are able to transfer, so forth and so on, I think it's one of those things that, you have to just kind of, adjust on the run. Mm-hmm. And I like it. I think that, it can't be sports all the time and winning all the time. But also I think the emphasis on what it takes to win is more of a life lesson versus, the win or loss in the column. And I think that's what really has been minimized. And when I think it needs to be maximized, because the way that the world is going, the way the kids are going, these life lessons are, I think can pay off tenfold. And, should there be adjustments on when you can transfer and all that stuff and make sure that it's on the up and up? Sure. And, obviously Miller South is probably time, to shed some light on some things. But then also let's not minimize the amount of work, dedication, sacrifice that those kids have made in order to go to that school, in order to put themselves in a position to go to college, to receive some NIL money, in some cases a lot of NIL money, put themselves in a position to create potentially generational wealth, but then also reach a goal that they set out for and have done everything that they need to on and off the field, on and off the court. You can say Miller South has a stacked team, but when you look at their team and what they've created, they also have a stacked team in the classroom as well. So you want to give them the credit where credit is due, even though they may have pushed the envelope or a little bit more than what people like. But I also think that when you create uncomfortableness along the lines of people that have been, status quo and, that will just go along with what we've always done. I think at the end of when you create some, I guess a more competitive parity, but more competitive environment, everybody will rise up to the top. And it also will push people outside of the said sports to do more for the, young men and women or young boys and girls that are playing sports.
I absolutely agree. We did have some comments too about, is participation trophy culture even real? And we had a little bit of a back and forth on that with the text line, but sometimes participation trophy culture, and I put that in air quotes, is less about everyone gets a medal, everyone gets a trophy, everyone gets a pat on the back at the end of the game. And sometimes instead it manifests more as trying to tear down the winners because we don't like where they're at. Now, if there are rules being broken and lines are being crossed, absolutely that's got to get reined in. But I think to your point, sometimes when participation trophy culture comes up, we put more attention on the losers. Oh, you competed. Oh, you participated. Oh, you tried. We appreciate you for that. And there's a time and a place for that. But Jay, for some of these top schools that do the winning, these student athletes that have put in the work, it can be demoralizing to have your winning looked down on because, oh, you have a stacked team. Oh yeah, you probably broke some rules, even though we don't know if we can prove it or not. When, yeah, you're right. I mean, think how much work some of those Millard South student athletes have put in with your boy Steve Warren at the Warren Academy, right? We can't just say, yeah, we don't like that you're winning, so we're going to change the rules. We don't like that you're winning, so we're going to get mad about it. It's much healthier, I think, in the long run for the NSAA and in life to say, we don't like that you're winning. we're going to do something about it. We're going to put in the same work. We're going to get together. And no, not everyone has the same equal access to the resources, opportunities, coaching, and what have you. But instead of trying to tear the top down, we should try to build the bottom up and make it a better environment for those teams to feel like they have a chance to reach those heights, instead of negating and detracting from a lot of the hard work, to your point, that's been put in by these teams that do win state championships and make the state playoffs.
What do people do with Nick Saban? They try to figure out what he does with this process, what he does with the, his recruiting and accountability. That's the same thing you need to do with these programs and these trainers that are out there, putting kids in position to go out there and maximize their potential. And there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes I think people don't want to do what's best for everybody else and wants to do what's best for them. And there is, the status quo of what they're doing, but more importantly, that they have to make sure that they're doing what they need to do for the betterment of everybody. And it's not about just the kids that go to Power 4. It's about everybody else that's able to receive scholarship money, scholarship opportunities, playing opportunities that could lead them to things outside of the sport. It could be a relationship that they are able to forge to a lifelong friendship and business relationship. Like one of my better friends is somebody I met in college via obviously being a scholarship player. I met him playing basketball at the Rec. I'm still friends with him right now. Matt Verzal, who was a great friend of mine, obviously, unfortunately passed away, is from Grand Island. Without being able to transfer in high school to get me into a position that I can showcase my talents, along with the support off the field in the classroom, to put me in a position that Coach Osborne could see me, I don't meet a lifelong best friend in Matt Verzal. So there is positives about it where it doesn't ruffle the feathers too much. If somebody wants to go for it, there's an old saying, if you love it, chase it. Don't stop anybody from chasing their dreams, especially when, I guess you call them Gen Z, have, their work ethic and their ability to chase their dreams has been to the forefront of not, reaching their maximum. So I'm all for it. Should be some adjustments, but also I think you need to hold your head above water, and then create the environment where you can compete at the highest level, and obviously make it a little bit harder for them to win the game 77-0 or whatever it was last night.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. That's a good spot to go to break. He's Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman. I'm Austin Norman. This is Old School on 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Are you ready to transform your body and your life in just 10 weeks? At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, our kickboxing challenge combines heart-pumping cardio, strength training, and proven nutrition coaching to deliver real results. Lose fat, gain strength, and feel more confident than ever. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Join the next Farrell's 10-week challenge starting October 11th and take the first swing towards a healthier, stronger you. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, results, not excuses. Join today, fxblincoln.com. That's fxblincoln.com.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had roofing service company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com. MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com. Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, this is Old School, 93.7 Ticket, ticketfm.com. Austin Norman with you here. Jay Foreman, Husker Hall of Famer, on our Allo Fiber VIP line. Really appreciate them for their support of the show, all our programs here at the station. Allo, the official internet provider of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Also want to shout out our good friends over at the Lincoln Children's Museum. It's bye week, so there's no game day play date today, but October 4th, essentially a week now, to get signed up for your child's game day play date. Your children between ages 5 to 12, if you don't think they can handle sitting through Memorial Stadium, if you don't have a ticket for them and you can't find babysitter, the best place to take your child for a game day play date would be the Lincoln Children's Museum. Drop them off 90 minutes before the game, pick them up an hour after kickoff. They've got some programming, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. It's about activity. It's kind of football focused and themed. The Lincoln Children's Museum does a fantastic job. Set them, forget them, pick them up after the game. Shout out to our friends at the Lincoln Children's Museum. Let's bring Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman back in. Jay, is there enough football that you want to talk about, or do you have time for a little basketball retrospective here on Old School?
We can do whatever you like, man. I think, I think one of the things that, for the Big Ten and the SEC, I think this is a great weekend for football. Obviously, you have the Ryder Cup with the USA against Europe, but I think it's a great weekend of the matchup down in football. But then also, let's get into some basketball, because basketball has just kicked off. So there's some things happening, and it's always great to talk about another sport because we are multifaceted here on Old School. We talk basketball, football, hockey, or whatever you need, whatever your flavor of the week is.
Okay, Jay, 8 years ago today, 10 college basketball coaches, or 4 coaches and 10 people, got arrested by the FBI for their pay-to-play scheme. Chuck Person, Lamont Evans, Book Richardson, and Tony Bland, along with the athlete advisors and some companies, got arrested for their pay-to-play, funneling players to schools. Obviously, Bill Self gets tied up in that. Sean Miller down the line gets tied up with that. And here we are, Jay, 8 years later, with $10 million rosters in college basketball. It's so funny to think that in just 8 years, we went from the FBI saying, college basketball coaches, we have your playbook. We know what you do to get these student athletes to your campuses. 8 years later, they're paying $10 million to put rosters together. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, we would have never thought of that college football players would be getting paid like they're NFL players. Things move fast, and, we were just, me and a couple teammates obviously were, obviously getting together, obviously with the pastor Matt Versall. We were talking about, back in the day where Jim Harbaugh got in trouble, and obviously there's other things that he did later, but remember when he bought a kid a sandwich or like a milkshake, or even here in Nebraska where it was just like a ham sandwich, you couldn't give the student athlete any extra benefits. Now you're able to get guys and pay for guys to come on unofficial visits, pay them to come on official visits, pay them obviously as employees or revenue sharing. And there's athletes now, student athletes now in every sport. Obviously you have the young lady that's a softball pitcher at Texas Tech making over $1 million. I think she transferred from Stanford and then got re-upped again this year. And obviously Texas Tech has one of the highest, payroll as far as rosters, so forth and so on. So, college football has changed into, semi-pro sports or professional sports. I think the NFL and all those, the professional leagues are entertainment. But things have moved quick. When you go all the way back, not only to the 10 coaches that were recorded, chastised, and I remember watching the rifleman Chuck Person play when he was with the Indiana Pacers, and obviously via Auburn. Obviously following the sword for things that have now is just a regular day when you hear a student athlete getting paid a huge amount of money, and so things change fast. I think they were probably the pioneers of it, where they were held accountable for things that have been going on for years, but now it's obviously something that you can do on the ready, and it's only going to get bigger and better, and there's a lot of money and profit in college sports, and it's only going to be something that when people have trivia questions and all that, you got to start naming at least 3 or 4 coaches that were at the forefront, or let alone held accountable for some of the things that are going on in the present time in the future.
Some of those coaches, you mentioned Bill Self, right? Greg McDermott had an assistant tied up at that at Creighton at one point. But the 2 examples that I think stick out to most people are Sean Miller. That's the reason that he ended up having to leave Arizona, was due to his assistant, Book Richardson, lack of control and everything going on down there at Arizona. But maybe the most high-profile example, wasn't actually arrested in this sting, but was one of the biggest moves of the coaching cycle this offseason in Will Wade. And what he was able to do, obviously, at LSU, not a traditional basketball powerhouse. You had the Shaquille O'Neal era and then a bunch of whatever for a while. American gangster Will Wade comes in, wins a bunch of games, goes to the NCAA tournament, gets Ben Simmons there, and then gets caught, make a strong offer. And here he is in one offseason rebuilding, a definitionally mid program in North Carolina State to a team that looks like it's going to be top 4 in the ACC because of what? The exact same strategy he was employing at LSU just 6 years ago.
Yeah, you would have thought that he was going to be off into the abyss in as far as in the coaching realm goes because of the trouble that he was, associated with at LSU. But he went to Mid-East State, got them balling, and you know what? Winning cures all. And now he's at NC State, and he's going to win there too. He's a really good coach that, kind of made some, I wouldn't say even bad decisions. He just got caught because everybody was doing it. And so let's see what he does in the new age of college football, or not college football, but college basketball. And it's going to be crazy to look back on, athletes getting paid, which they have been for years and decades and all that stuff, to what will happen later on. If I'm a college kid, right, if I'm coming out of high school, I'm trying to play college football as long as I can. It's guaranteed money. And I think it gives you, a chance to get not only one step ahead, but 10 steps ahead as far as generational wealth. There's more job security, and who knows, later on in this thing that they'll be able to trade players, which then if you unionize, you'll be able to have the same benefits on a maybe a smaller scale as the NFL. You'll see the college football slowly but surely trying to compete with the NFL, based on what they've been able to do to kind of, knock a chunk into the market share of longevity as far as their athletes. You're able to make more money as a student athlete or an athlete at the college level versus when you go to the pros, smaller roster, less longevity, less continuity, and less job security. So it'll be interesting to see 5 years from now where college football is versus the NFL, and if there is some sort of conjunction of them kind of marrying together, both in their calendar years, but then also the play on the field and what the NFL could use college football as moving forward. It's going to be really interesting here, but in the next few, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years.
Speaking of 5 years, I think that's a perfect segue into, these college athletes. Your advice would be to stay in school as long as you can. We might be on the doorstep or the precipice of 5 years to play 5 years in college athletics. Do you think that the going to 5 years of eligibility would be the right move for college athletics as a whole? And how would that affect the athletes, the coaches, and even the professional leagues from there on?
Well, I think it would, but then also you got to make sure there's no exception to the rule. I mean, there's guys that I think there was a young guy at Miami last year that played college football for like 9 years. I mean, that's obviously 4 years too long, but I also know that with COVID and some injury history that, it can't stretch that long. I think the NCAA needs to do a better job both in when they're holding kids accountable, holding universities accountable, looking at every case, as a separate case. There's a case of the receiver at North Carolina that moved for a family issue. There was obviously a documented, death in the family, a very sick, family member. Was an extended family, obviously a nuclear family, and they sat on it for 3 or 4, weeks into the season when it should have been done, well before the season. So I think there's, some leeway on both ends. And then obviously the more that they can do and the more that they're willing to do will make it at ease. And if you could say, okay, 5 years to play 5 or 6 to play 5, I like it. And you know what, it also eliminates a lot of these guys of getting the wool pulled underneath from them, or the rug underneath their feet. When football is over, it's definitely over. Because I will tell you, the one thing that's significantly different than about the game of football: when you're done playing, you cannot find 21 other people that want to put pads on and go out there and play real football. You can do 7-on-7, you can do men's league, but there's nothing like putting the helmet on and strapping it up, and see where you end up at, or where you're at. As far as the competition level, mano a mano.
And see, I don't like 5-5. I get why student athletes would push for it, especially in light of the House ruling. I'm still, maybe I need to just get over it and get over myself, but I'm still team move on, get over it. If you had your 4 years, you had your opportunity. Sorry it didn't go the way you wanted, but there's another job out there for you. I think too, it's just so, traditional in college and high school that it's 4-year programs, and I get it. It's hard to draw the line between student and athlete, and are they really there for school? Yeah, I get it. But if we're dropping the farce of academics being important and tied in with athletics, so be it. But otherwise, do we need to determine, find a new way to shape the academic structure for student athletes. Right now there's the requirement that you're taking classes if you're doing 5 and 5.
No, we don't need to take we don't need to take no classes. I'm not here to play school.
Thanks,
I'm here to
Cardale.
play football. Hey, we're here to do what we need to do, and I want to get an education. Let's just be honest here. When you're here to play football, you're here to play football, basketball, volleyball, and everything else. And then when you want to put in the same effort to take advantage of it, that's on you. It's a plus, and the people that have systems in place, like the University of Nebraska with Dennis LeBlanc and Keith Zimmer and Kim Shelpepper, that's what the selling point is. But let's not fake the funk here. When you're recruiting me out of high school, I'm here to make tackles, knock people's heads off, and get sacks. Period. I know you don't like hearing it, but that's the reality. That's what you're paying me to do. You're not paying me to have a 4.0. I'm choosing to have a 4.0. And once we do that, once we get there, then things will be a lot easier.
And I'll take your word for that. I'm fine with that. But then in that case, we need an age requirement. We need an age limit in college sports, right? Not just eligibility, because I'm sorry, I don't want 25 and 26-year-olds running around a college football field. If we're going to scrap the academics and say we're here to play football, cool, I'm fine with that. But then we're not having, 25, 26-year-olds run around there. Or if you've played, professional basketball overseas, you can't come over to college as a freshman at age 22. Like, we got to change something, and that I think would be an easy one.
Yeah, I get the age requirement, and I do it. And like I said, if you could take it all, take it case by case, you won't have a bunch of 26, 25, 26, 27 years old. You have a guy that, like in Javen Wright, where it's kind of like some things out of his control. I'm all for him being able to play because he hasn't really been able to do it 5 years. Now, if you got like the tight end at Miami that was essentially, finding different ways to hit the transfer portal, transferring down, transferring back up, so forth and so on, and the rules have constantly been changing, and he's dang near, 30 years old, I have a problem with that. So we're in lock and step, but I also think you don't need to. Part of the reason we are where we are is because it's been straight up black and white. And then when it turned into the gray area, then now it became completely white. That's why I want, that's why I think you need to be able to have a group of people that can make a decision or whatever it needs to be to understand, okay, Austin Norman has this situation. We'll address it in a timely fashion and not let it boil over into Jay Foreman's situation. So then there's 50 other people that can take advantage of it.
No, I like that. No, I think we're, to your point, in agreement for the most part. So let's leave it there. We'll come back one final segment on Old School for the week after this on The Ticket.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, I'm Sarai, your personal banker here at Midwest Bank. I'm proud to serve our community in English and in Espanol because everyone deserves a banker who understands them. This Hispanic Heritage Month, we're celebrating the traditions, values, and dreams that make our community strong. Whether you're opening your first account, planning for the future, or growing your business, estoy aquí para ayudarle a alcanzar sus metas. I'm here to help you reach your goals. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We are going to see plenty of sunshine here for the rest of our Friday. We'll get all the way up to 85 for a high temperature with a little bit of a breeze here this afternoon. That breeze will die down if you're heading out to any high school football games tonight. We'll drop down to 60 for an overnight low. Weekend's looking great. We'll get up to 81 for a high on Saturday and 86 on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Donna for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln. MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com. Salt Mine City is your go-to brewery in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their Big Fatty 7-ounce hamburger or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping up a fantastic show here on Old School. Austin Norman here, Jay Foreman on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. A couple quick hitter here things for you, Jay, in the last segment. First of all, you mentioned Ryder Cup this weekend. America, what happened? You're down 5.5 to 2.5 going into Saturday? Woof.
Hey, Europe flew all the way over here and opened a full can of you know what, and they probably were the odds-on favorite, not the emotional favorite, and they showed why. And they're stacked, and they are they had made it a point to come over here and make some noise, and they made some noise early. But also, I think, in general, this is Europe's first date is usually when they do well, and if the United States can get it going and when it's in singles and in the alternate shot, they definitely can close the gap. But definitely is not what Keegan Bradley and company wanted to, have going on. But more importantly, USA, they got the home course advantage. Mm-hmm. They need to use that advantage by playing well. It's like what we talked about at Nebraska. You want the crowd to get hyped, you got to play well. And that's what the young men have to do. For United States in the Ryder Cup in order to turn the tide into their favor.
Big college football weekend. More important game, Oregon at Penn State or Alabama at Georgia?
I'm going to say Oregon at Penn State. I think that Alabama and Georgia game has lost its luster based on how they've played all year, right? And I think, obviously, it's a huge letdown if Bama beats up Georgia. And I think the game with Oregon and Penn State is so unique, because it's a look-see on potentially who one or both teams can make a huge run in this college football playoffs, right? Oregon's looking for the get back after getting embarrassed against Ohio State. Penn State's looking at going to the next step after proving that they can take a huge step in the college football playoffs last year. Some of their integral pieces haven't played well, whereas Oregon has new pieces and they're playing well. The environment in Penn State, Apple Valley at 6:30, I think, correct me if I'm out, is going to be crazy. This is a way for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks to really put the whole nation on notice if they're able to beat Penn State at home during a whiteout.
And maybe the most important question, there's no way the Titans beat the Texans, right? Houston gets off the schneid?
I think they will, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think. I think Houston is, I've said it before, you give away Laramie Tunsil, you hadn't really actively addressed the offensive line. You don't have a true bona fide number one in the receiver. Nothing against Nico Collins, but when I think of number one receivers, I think of Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and so forth and so on, Devontae Adams, and all these other guys. Nico Collins is down the list. They don't have Joe Mixon, but I think the defense has played well enough to put them over the hump against a young and we used to call them impressionable offense in the Tennessee Titans. And so I think the Houston Texans win. They can't be 0-4 if they start out 0-4. The rumblings about the GM and certain players on the trading block will be at the forefront. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Tend to agree. The other game to ask you about then, the Vikings fly into Dublin to take on the Steelers. That'll be an early game, 8:15 pregame here, 93.7 The Ticket. How do you see that one going, Jay?
Man, I think it's gonna. I think those games over in Europe are definitely slow starts, but they finish with a fury. I think the Vikings. I want to say they have more offensive power, but I think Aaron Rodgers wins this game. I think Aaron Rodgers, last time he was over there, got the head coach of the Jets fired, but I think this year he ain't going to get Mike Tomlin fired. I think he's sneaky good for the Steelers. I think they like him in the locker room. I think the Steelers beat the Vikings over there in Dublin, and the Steelers fans travel well. They're worldwide, and I think they represent.
There you have it. Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman with us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Jay, thanks for hopping on for this last hour. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
All right, man. See you.
Jay joined us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. That's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. That'll do it for Old School, but I know you're not tired of hearing my voice yet. And so for that reason, we're going to do Corner 3. How about that? A live edition of the Corner 3. Most places give you their preseason top 25s, not on the Corner 3. On the Corner 3, we give you our preseason top 32 teams that I think could challenge for a spot in the Sweet 16 and beyond. That's coming up next on the Corner 3 on the Ticket. For Jay, I'm Austin. Talk to you again in a sec.